Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Super Game Brothers podcast, a weekly podcast about board games and video games that I do together with my brother. My name is David, and I'm joined, as always, by the man in black, Ash Ketchum, today. He's got that hat on backwards, ready to catch the Pidgey. How are you doing, Ash?
Ash is doing pretty well. His Pokemon are ready for battle.
Nice. They're
all healed up. I'm doing good. Yes, happy to be here. I had a weird day today. I slept a lot of hours last night. I won't say how many, it's embarrassing, but I got out of bed and I went, and I've had this long experience with my car. So my car has a check engine light problem with like one little thing. We've tried replacing parts, but it always comes back on. Right now, the check engine light isn't on. So I took it to get emissions done today. And they were like, sick, man. It passed emissions. I was like, no way. No way.
Wow.
And they were like, the sad thing is, though, you've waited so long to do this. Your registration has been unregistered for like 6-7 months that we don't have 2024 stickers anymore. We're required by law to send those back at the end of June. So you have to go to the DMV if you want to fully get your car registered. I was like, are you kidding me? If I'd have done this 3 weeks ago, my car would be registered right now. And so I still got to go to the DMV. I have a flat tire as well that holds like 15 PSI. They're supposed to be at like 40 PSI. And I'm just like, that I'm never going to be able to drive that thing. But that's what I did today.
Wow. Did you go to the DMV then?
No, since it was a holiday for our state, I think it was closed. I went too late. And you know what's going to be funny? I'm guessing I get pulled over on my way to the DMV. They're going to be like, your car's not registered. I'll be like,
yeah,
that's where I'm going right now.
Fun with you. Mm-hmm.
And I just hope they listen to me when they pull me over and say, you know what? Okay, bud, we're going to let you go. Go get that car registered. But instead, they're going to hit me with a $300 fine.
So did they finish the registration? You just can't get the sticker till you go to the DMV?
Yeah,
or did they say you don't need to go do all of it over there?
Yeah, I was renting my car to our brother. So he actually paid for 2024's registration, but it wouldn't pass because emissions hadn't been done yet. So the registration's been paid for and emissions is now done. So I just have to somehow sneak to the DMV 20 minutes away and it will be finished, but I'll have a flat tire still. So
yeah, you need to really sneak.
I do. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, man, I hate car registration. I work from home, so I have a little black car that it's just a Chevy Cruze that we used to use, but I don't really use anymore, and I feel like that thing always needs to be re-registered, even though I never drive it. And man, it's not cheap, and just the many, many ways that the United States of America continues to tax us on money that we've already paid taxes on. Love it.
It's super cool.
Yeah, super love it. But I can't complain. There are other countries in the world that are taxed much higher. But, when income tax started and it was 1%, I feel like we're a far cry from that nowadays. So I don't know. And I hate car stuff. I hate paying. Cars are like the biggest money pit almost. I think some people think that like their car is a good investment, but man, that is definitely not so. It holds no value, just depreciates like crazy. And then you're just always replacing the oil, getting new tires, your windshield breaks, tires are flat. Cars are the worst.
Yeah, I'm in a special situation where my plan is to never buy another car until I run this one into the ground. Truly. Yeah. To be completely out of a car payment is extremely nice for me because the car still requires payments for, like you said, oil and filters and cleaning and whatever else. I don't want to add like an official monthly payment to the car because they take a lot of money, and it's discouraging when you look at them and you go, oh man, it has another issue. I don't know how to fix this. I don't know many mechanics, and I don't know what this is going to cost. And I hardly drive my car, so should I even get it fixed? I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I hate it. My black car is paid off as well, which is really nice. But we have a minivan because we have 3 kids, and that one's not paid off. And I'm just like counting down the days till it is. Because yeah, that $700 a month could be used for
Oh my.
a lot of other good for groceries, which is always my joke that we can't afford groceries, but crazy out there. Well, cool. I'm glad that you are almost done with the car drama, and hopefully the experience at the DMV goes smoothly. That can go. I've had some really bad experiences at the DMV, like being there for hours and like being so confused what is even going on. But then my last trip, I was out in like 7 minutes with a brand new license. So I was just like, okay, cool. I don't know. That place is rough though. You walk in and it's like, is this the prison? Did I miss a turn?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's brutal. They got all kinds of weird queues you have to stand in, paperwork to fill out, and I swear they have like bulletproof glass on all of the like kiosks. They don't want to be near the clientele either.
It is strange. They should make it feel like a hotel in there, you know, have some music and like it's like relaxing. Instead, it is very depressing in that place. Yeah,
for reals. They could even like go, you know, all the way and make it like feel like you're in line at Disneyland. You can have Star-Lord like high-fiving everybody.
That'd be sick.
Have like a little video playing.
Mm-hmm.
Because nobody really cares when you're standing in line at a Disneyland line. Yeah, it might be 45 minutes, but you got a Dole Whip and you're happy.
Yeah.
But not at the DMV.
Not at all. Have you watched any movies lately?
Not really. Me and my wife are really big right now into a show that we had seen almost all of it before, but other than maybe the last couple of seasons. But it'd been probably 6 or 7 years since we watched, and so we decided to start it back from the beginning. And I'm very picky with TV shows, and I can only rewatch shows, I think, if they're comedy focused, like if it's a sitcom. Because if it's been a little bit of time, I've forgotten all of the jokes. But for like a drama, it's trickier. Breaking Bad being the exception. It's hard for me to watch something over and over again because I know the major like plot points. I know what's going to happen. But the moment to moment joking, you know, gets me. So we're watching Brooklyn Nine-Nine again, which is such a funny TV show. If you haven't watched Brooklyn Nine-Nine, it's really great. I think the main character is the guy from Hot Rod, whose name is escaping me at the moment. Oh, what is his name? He was on SNL with Justin Timberlake a lot as well.
His name is...
I thought you had it.
Oh, I do. It's is it Adam something? No?
That sounds familiar. Let me see. I'll look it up and then you can keep guessing. It's not Adam, but you were pretty close with the first name.
I was?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I mean, it's on the tip of my tongue. What is his name?
Yeah, I hate it when I can't remember stuff.
I don't know. I just watched something with him in it. Andy Samberg.
Yep.
Holy moly.
There we go. Yeah. He's hilarious in almost everything he's in. Sometimes he's like a little overbearing, I feel like, but I really like him. He's funny. But he's not my favorite character in the show. The best character in the show is by far Captain Holt, who is the captain of the police, what do you call it, station? And he's played by a character who I think passed away a couple years ago, which is a bummer. His name was Andre Brower, I think. I just had it up here and I don't remember now. Andre Brower. And his comedic timing and his ability to hold a straight face is absolutely amazing.
Really?
He's like, the joke in the show is that they can't tell if he's like happy or sad. He's like very straight-faced captain. And so he like delivers what he thinks are jokes with like a completely straight face. And he is hilarious. He's so funny. I think the show starts like a tiny bit slow in the first few episodes, but is really great. Very, very funny. just hilarious situations that wouldn't ever happen. Terry Crews is also in it. He's pretty funny in it as well. But I really think that Jake, who is played by Andy Samberg, and then the captain are the two like stars of the show. So if you haven't watched that, it's on. What are we watching it on? Peacock.
Okay.
I think
the new Ghostbusters is out on Netflix, I believe.
Ooh.
The Frozen Empire. I've been curious about it. I don't think it's like going to be fantastic, but I will watch it. Have you watched Under the Silver Lake or I Saw the TV Glow yet?
No.
Okay, no worries. I'm just going to keep reminding you until you do.
Yeah, I do want to watch them. We'll probably watch the TV Glow one first. Yeah, we're a little picky with the shows we watch, and the other one is pretty mature. It looked.
I think that it is. Yeah.
So I'll take a second look, but not sure on that one. But yeah, I haven't watched those yet. I do want to. There's a lot. I was gonna end the show with this conversation, but there are a lot of like thriller horror movies right now, and it seems like a good time to try and get my wife back into a scary movie, but she is like pretty stalwart in that she doesn't want to try anymore, which is crazy because I got her to watch a whole bunch. We watched Hereditary, we watched Midsummer, we watched The Conjuring. I've watched like a ton of like, pretty top tier scary movies.
Yeah, those are all pretty dang scary.
Yeah. But it's been probably 3 years, and so I feel like she, I don't know, is more nervous about the idea of it than she actually would be if we just watched one. But,
right. I did watch one movie that I wanted to mention very quickly. I didn't think I was going to like it as much as I did. This is kind of like an action, kind of thriller, like spy, kind of like secret mission, like you don't know stuff. It's called Anna. Have you ever seen it?
Anna. I haven't seen it. I feel like it has a famous actress as Anna. Is that right?
Well, it's got what's her name? Sasha Luss. Sasha. I can't remember. She's extremely pretty. But the supporting roles of that movie are fantastic. Cillian Murphy. And then the guy that plays Gaston, maybe, from the live action film.
Oh, you're right.
Is he in it? And then the other lady, the older lady, she does a fantastic job. Yes. What did you say her name was?
Helen Mirren or Mirren?
Yeah, she kills it too. All the supporting roles in that film were fantastic. The main character, she's decent at acting. Like sometimes she was very, very believable, and then there was other times where I was like, that was a little cringy, but man, the way that movie was filmed, you never know what is going on in that film. You think that you do. It's filmed in a super cool way. So you'll see a scene of specific characters, and in like 40 minutes from that scene, it refers back to the previous scene you saw before and explains that you weren't understanding that scene from earlier. And so you cannot predict how that show goes. And I respected that completely, because typically you have a prediction of where the show's going. I've seen this before a million times. It's kind of boring. This was not that way. Super fun. Okay. It's a little more mature as well in some parts, but that show was dope.
I'll check it out. I when you said Anna, my mind went to a different
Ava
one called Ava.
I knew
Jessica Chastain. Yeah. Because I've never even heard of this Sasha Luss actress before, but cool. And 2019, it looks like.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, those are some big names for the supporting characters, though. Helen Mirren, Luke Evans, Cillian Murphy.
They all kill it.
I love Cillian Murphy. He's amazing.
Yeah, you should watch that show. I think you'll really, really like it. Or you won't. But I just thought, man, it was so unique compared to other films. And just, you can't predict it, which made it exciting to me.
Yeah. No, that's cool. I do like that genre of movie. That genre kind of mixed with like a spy thriller or like a crime thriller. Those are probably my wife's favorite genres.
Speaking of spy movies, I just watched My Spy, the sequel to My Spy. You know what that
My
is?
Spy.
With Dave
No.
Bautista.
Oh. Okay.
He like is like with his daughter, and she like knows martial arts, so now they're like, this is number 2, and they're both gonna take this situation seriously, and I whatever. And when the movie ended, I said out loud to myself, I was like, the movie kind of sucked, to be honest. But I went through the whole thing because I like to just stick out a movie. I just enjoy movies so much. But that movie's kind of trash, to be honest.
It's like it's on Prime.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I don't want to bash the movie, but I was like, they didn't do anything too special with this.
It has Kristen Schaal in it. I love her. She's
from
hilarious.
like the Scary Movie. Is that who you're talking about? Do you remember all the Scary movies?
I do. Yeah, I've scrolling through the cast here. You might be thinking of someone. You're thinking of Anna Faris.
Oh yes,
who is also funny. She's from Scary Movie. Kristen Schaal does a lot of voice acting. She does Louise Belcher on Bob's Burgers.
Oh right, okay, I know who you're talking about. Yeah, very unique.
She's
voice.
So funny to me. Very unique. Yeah, she's in one of my other favorite kind of comedy movies called shows. Excuse me, called The Last Man on Earth. Her and Will Forte are the two main characters in that show. That show is great. I'm so bummed it got canceled. Yeah, she's hilarious. I love her. Okay, My Spy. So that one's probably a skip. It sounds like.
I mean, you can watch it if you want, but I mean, I don't know if you're trying to torture yourself or what.
There was that one with Vin Diesel when we were growing up. It was like, and he was like a spy that turned into a babysitter, and I feel like that one was actually kind of funny. And I feel like this one's going for the same vibes.
Are we talking like The Pacifier?
Yeah, The Pacifier. I know this is a much different movie, but I feel like they're going for like the same kind of like comedy X spy kind of vibe there. I liked The Pacifier. I thought that was kind of funny. But this one, not even many funny redeeming moments.
I don't know. I hardly remember. It was last night. It was yesterday.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah. Oh, an actress I really like, and then we can move on to other topics. Alison Bry. Do you know who that is?
I do, yeah.
I find her so pretty and pretty decent at acting. I don't know. I just
she's in a lot
like
of
her
stuff.
a lot.
The most recent thing that I know her from, and I'm pretty sure it was her, she was in one of Lubelin's videos. Lubelin is that, yeah, he's that guy on TikTok and Instagram that does the music, like the songs based on the fake internet, or not, I don't even think it's fake, the internet drama. So he has like I'm trying to think of what the most famous one is. It's probably like about the grandmas fighting on Facebook because the one stole her like recipe for, what is it called?
I know nothing about this.
No, you do. Internet drama part 1, part 2. He has like millions and millions of views on those videos. And what is this one? Part 2, 2020. Yeah, she stole my broccoli casserole recipe. No.
Nothing.
Google, she stole my broccoli casserole recipe. And just let's watch this video real quick. I don't have it. No audio would come through, so sorry for everyone, but you've definitely seen this, right?
Oh, I have seen this guy.
Oh, okay, yeah. That one is hilarious. One of his ones after this one was with Jimmy Fallon and Alison Brie, or Bry, however you say her last name.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was about this conversation on Facebook where someone was asking what everyone's favorite salad dressing was, and this like old lady was replying to everyone that said that their favorite salad dressing was blue cheese by saying, "So you like mold in your dressing, huh?" And Alison Brie plays that old lady.
Oh,
blue cheese has mold in it is kind of the thing there. If you haven't watched Lubelin's videos, they are excelente. Just so good. But yeah, that's the last thing I remember her from. which is a kind of a deep pull, but I know she's in a lot of like TV series, I think, that I just haven't watched. Cool. Yeah, lots of good stuff. It's impossible to keep up with all the content there is nowadays. There's too much. I wish, and that's kind of subscription services' fault. I feel like Netflix has to have a new show every week so that you'll stay subscribed, right? But they could cut like 80% of their stuff, because a lot of it's like, did I need to watch that?
Correct.
Pretty low quality.
And a lot of platforms that aren't Netflix do not release something new every week. Like Peacock and Max, it's like once a month you get some banger that's an hour and a half long, and you're like, cool, man, I'm glad I'm subscribed to this for that 90 minutes.
I know, and that's probably why Netflix does it, is because people probably subscribe to like Peacock and Paramount for a month and then bail after they've watched their show. So there's got to be a really tricky balance there. And HBO is kind of like the king of like high quality, right, shows, but I feel like they probably even have people that come in for 2 months to watch Game of Thrones and then bail, and then come in for 2 months to watch the new series of Barry and then bail, and 2 months for True Detective and bail, 2 months for The Last of Us. I'm just naming shows at this point.
Yeah, I mean, Paramount Plus is the same thing. You've got like the new Knuckles TV show, which I really wasn't that hyped about. He's kind of cool because he looks like Sonic and he's red. And then Your Honor with Bryan Cranston, fan-freaking-tastic show. And then, oh yeah, super, super good. Yeah, you should watch that as well. And then Mayor of Kingstown.
He's such a good actor. Oh, you've mentioned that one. Jeremy Renner.
Yes, right? Fantastic as well. Oh, I love shows.
Yeah. Yeah, it is tricky. And then Amazon and Prime are just kind of behemoths. I mean, the new Rings of Power, I think, comes out like in a month.
Really? Wow.
Which I don't think is the best Lord of the Rings thing ever, but I do think it's better than The Hobbit. And from like a budget level, just probably the most beautiful TV show I've ever watched. Like, incredible. Mm-hmm. Like, as far as like the CGI and the sets and like the costumes are concerned. So I'm kind of excited for the second season. I know there's a lot of people online that didn't like Rings of Power, but I don't know. I think it's. I really enjoyed it too. So when I heard that, I was like, oh really? I even talked to some coworkers and they were like, yeah, I didn't really like it. And I was like, oh really? Like, we really enjoyed it.
Oh man.
I mean, I don't think it's like the original trilogy level of like quality, but it's telling a different story. I feel like it's hard. This is another tangent. Even like looking at The Hobbit, I don't really like the Hobbit series. At least the movie series. I think it's overly stretched out. Has some fun moments and like some cool big fights. They focus too much on CGI, where like the first series was all about how can we make as much of this practical effects as possible. So I think that stinks. But there's also like the story isn't as, the stakes aren't as high, right? In Lord of the Rings, it's like world's gonna end if we don't get the ring to the volcano. In The Hobbit, it's like, I'm a dwarf and I want my gold back.
Yeah.
Like, okay, that's cool, but it's not as dire. So the stakes aren't as high, so it doesn't have like as much of the dramatic moments.
Worst case scenario is that main Hobbit is sad because he doesn't get his money.
Yeah. And I feel like Rings of Power suffers from that a little bit. I mean, it has obviously spoilers for the first season of Rings of Power if you haven't watched it. I won't even say like the main twist, but Sauron is in the show, just as like a heads up there. So I mean, there are some like pretty big stakes, and man, that episode where the Mount Doom explodes, so cool. Like one of the coolest things I've seen in like a TV show. I was like, wow, I didn't think they were gonna do that. And so I don't know. I feel like there is a little bit of a struggle there with the stakes and what do we do when people know the outcome kind of the story. But
that is
since
hard.
It's like the thousands of years before the trilogy, like it's, they've got a lot of stuff they can do, and I feel like they can make that one have higher stakes than The Hobbit seemed, in my opinion. But so yeah, I'm excited for Rings of Power.
Oh, same. I like that main chick as well.
I like her too. A lot of people did.
Galadriel? Is that who it is?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yep.
She acts
Yeah, a lot
in
of
this
people didn't
horror
like her in it.
film called Saint Maud or Saint Maud. Saint Maud.
That's right.
Show kind of
Mm-hmm.
freaked me out, to be honest.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the actors in that show are good too. I think my favorite is the one that plays Elrond. He is excellent.
Elrond.
Kind of, I think he plays Elrond, right? He's the shorter kind of elf that's friends with the dwarfs.
Oh, right.
I
Yeah.
slurred my words
Yeah.
there for a minute.
He does a
but I think
fantastic
he
job.
does a great job.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Rings of Power, that'll be fun. Yeah, lots of good TV. Write in, let us know what you're watching. I'd love to sift through some of the garbage and get some good recommendations because it is hard when you're scrolling on the TV. I'm like, I just pushed over 500 times and I don't know if I want to watch any of those things. But... All right, Devin, I got a couple questions for you. Over the weekend, one of my friends from Denmark was in town, so we went to dinner, which was fun. Yeah, he is single, and so he tries to come and visit America, I think, every few years. It had been 6 years, I think, since his last trip. But anyways, we went to a restaurant. We went to the Cheesecake Factory, which is a restaurant chain that I enjoy. I think it's good. Couple comments about Cheesecake Factory first before I ask you the main question. What do you order there? And are you intimidated by the giant menu? Because I never know what to get. We have a few like staples that we like. We like the bang bang chicken and shrimp. I like the jambalaya. I think my wife likes the chicken Madeira. And I got fish and chips when we went, which was actually really good. I wanted a few more fish, but it was good. So I don't know. Cheesecake Factory I think is solid. Maybe a little overpriced, but it's good. What are your thoughts on Cheesecake Factory before I flesh the whole question out?
I love the aesthetic inside. I think the food is fantastic. I don't know if everything on their menu is fantastic because you'd have to go there 50 times to try everything. But we always got, my ex and I would always get, what was it? I want to say one of them was like a Thai dish. The other one was more like a chicken parmesan with these flat breaded chicken pieces on like a bunch of spaghetti, and it was so good. I can't remember what the dish was called, but
okay. I wonder if the bang bang chicken and shrimp is what you got then, because that one is like in a curry kind of a vibe, but that one's so good. But what's your favorite cheesecake?
Oh man, that's a great question. I would need to look up a list, and I'd tell you a few that I would choose because there's a lot.
Yeah, there is a lot, and I think one of the most obvious signs of shrinkflation, which is a thing, which is basically companies keeping their prices the same but shrinking the item that you get,
the
right?
Portion.
Yeah, is the cheesecake from the Cheesecake Factory, whose slices have absolutely gotten smaller. Anyways, my favorite, which is surprising because I'm not usually a fan of rich like desserts. I'm usually more of a fan of something fruity. But for some reason, I think the Oreo cheesecake slice from the Cheesecake Factory rules. And it is probably the richest thing I've ever eaten. Like, it's unreal. Like, the entire back of it is just like a cluster of M&Ms, of chocolate chips. So you've got like hard chocolate chips on like the back. You've got a humongous Oreo. They must have like some exclusive with Oreo to get giant cookies. Or it's off brand, I'm not sure, but it's a giant one. It's like, it's not like a Cool Whip, it's like probably cream cheese, thick frosting on top. It is incredibly rich, but very, very good. Oh yeah, that's probably it. That's probably it, a mousse, yeah. Love that one. All right, Devin, I thought for a little fun activity here, we would do a little tier ranking of restaurants. So I've put them in 4 categories.
Okay.
We've got like the fastest low-end fast food. Then you got medium like fast food that's a little more expensive, not quite as fast. Then you got chains. Chains are things like Cheesecake Factory, Chili's. I don't know. That's probably where I will end my like tier ranking because the next category I put was more expensive restaurants for rich people, which I'm not. I've only been to like I don't know. So I'll probably cut that one out. But I think the main one that'll be interesting to talk about are the lower end fast food items. So I thought we could just go through a few and you could tell me what you think the tier ranking is. I think we have to start with the king of the lowest end fast food, McDonald's.
And you want me
Where do they
to like SABC?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Or even I don't know what the bottom tier on a tier ranking is. Do they do like D and F?
Probably.
Sure.
D and F. We'll do that. McDonald's fries are fantastic if they're hot. Dude, sometimes I've opened those burgers though and been like, what is this? There's nothing on this.
Yeah, this is almost a tricky one because I think the comment I would make with McDonald's is it is very dependent on the McDonald's you go to. We have two that are really close to us. One of them is probably the worst McDonald's I've ever been to in my life. And then there's one about a half mile farther, and it's probably the best McDonald's I've ever been to in my life. Just consistently. It doesn't matter. Every time. The one sucks and the other one's great. So we always go to the great one and drive a little farther. So I guess thinking about McDonald's at its best, if you only go to the...
Yeah, for these rankings, we'll do the best. Sometimes McDonald's is fantastic. Their breakfast food is... Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah,
give me that McGriddle. The little syrup-infused bun. Love that. For convenience and price, I'm just going to throw... I mean, I like it. I know that it like grosses some people out or whatever it is, but it doesn't really gross me out. I have a hard time getting grossed out by a lot of foods. I'm gonna go A tier.
I can give mine for A tier. Okay. It's a tough one. I think I'm right at A with you as well. I think that as like a parent, McDonald's becomes even more valuable because like it's so cheap and I can get my kids like some chicken nuggets or french fries or a little cheeseburger or something for $15. I can get like 2 Happy Meals, some chicken nuggets for our youngest, and like a couple cheap cheeseburgers for myself. So I don't know. I think it's on its best day. I think it's pretty solid. I'm going to give it an A as well. All right. Wendy's. Wendy's on its best day, I think is better.
Right.
I don't like their fries quite as much.
Don't you?
But their vegetables on their burgers are much better. And man, getting like a Dave's Double, like that classic Dave's Double, that's a good burger for like a super fast, like fast food.
They've tried a lot of good burgers. They've done like triple patties, pretzel buns, really unique
Baconator.
Yeah, barbecue sauces on them. Oh my gosh, I got a Baconator with 3 patties one time, and I almost went into a coma. I'm serious. That was so much
funny.
food. I think I ate it and just went to sleep. But man, a good Baconator.
Just for their food alone, I would put them in S, but I'm gonna put them in A as well.
I was gonna say A as well.
Their speed, terrible. Like their app ordering experience, terrible. I don't understand. Like McDonald's is already there. Like just copy everything they do. Like as far as like the experience. But I feel like every time I go to a Wendy's, I'm like, yeah, the food was better, but almost everything else about the experience there was worse.
Right. Yep.
I don't know.
I agree. A tier for me as well.
Yeah. All right. I was trying to think of other ones in this tier. Arby's.
Oh boy. Oh man. If you get a roast beef sandwich with the perfect amount of cheese blended with the Arby's sauce, I mean, we got to be at A tier again. The curly fries, the Jamocha shakes.
The curly fries are amazing. That is a good shake too.
Oh yeah. Crap, these are all going today.
I was going to say, this isn't a very exciting tier list if everything's in A. I'd probably put Arby's in B, just in general, because there are a few things I really like on the menu, but I feel like there's only a couple. It's just the curly fries, just like the roast beef sandwich, and just the Jamocha shake. I don't think there's enough like variety there. I mean, they do have some crazy stuff nowadays. They've got the meats, and they do weird sandwiches.
They do.
I just, as a poor person, I don't go for like the $7 Arby's sandwich, you know? I'm like, okay, there's the dollar menu, and oh yeah, there's one thing on it I like.
You got the ham
Which
and
is not a
cheese
dollar menu.
sliders for $1.50. They're like
Yeah, those are
literally 2 inches wide, or the apple pie.
yeah, yeah. So I'm gonna put them in B, just kind of in general. Okay, what else do we got in this tier? Probably got, I don't know, was Sonic go in this tier? Probably.
Oh, cream
Um,
slushes are unreal, man.
Yeah, very good.
Some of their sandwiches are actually bomb. They got like that Texas toast or French toast,
They
big
do.
old pieces of bread.
And you can get like a funky breakfast sandwich on that Texas toast with like an egg omelet with sausage or bacon
Oh yeah.
in it, and those are pretty dang good. Their burgers are okay. I like tater tots, so like I'm gonna put them in B tier as well with Arby's though. I think just in
Mm.
general, a little more hit or miss. You can have a bad Sonic experience for sure.
I might have to throw
But
them in A as well. If we're going off their best day, like sometimes it's so
yeah,
good
that's true.
and the experience is unique. You pull up to like this window, the little red button is fun to push, and
It is. Okay, what's the opinion on the Sonic window? Do you tip?
because they rode rollerblades.
I'm always stressed out by that. I'm like, do I just go through the drive-through so I don't have to worry about tipping at this weird like parked spot?
Do you think they're
I
always
don't know.
wearing rollerblades
I don't think so. The
all
last few
day?
times I've been there.
Probably smells weird in there. Probably smells like feet in there. That's why they don't let us go inside. B
Yeah,
tier.
for reals.
B tier. Stinks in there.
I do appreciate their like extravagant drink menu though. I mean, you can get the slush, the cream slush, like the milkshake, and whatever mix in you want in your soda is pretty cool. So gotta give them a shout out for that. Let's see, what else would be in this tier, Devin? Can you think of any others? I feel like we're missing a whole bunch. You got like the Taco Bell and the Del Taco. Taco Bell is pretty great.
Oh,
I
man.
would put a Taco Bell in A tier for me, I think.
I agree. Oh man. Yeah, it's gotta go A tier. What would an S tier be then?
I was trying to think of that. What it would be an S tier. I don't know. Maybe Taco Bell is the S tier. I just feel like they really ding you at Taco Bell for drinks. Their drinks are expensive,
Oh yeah.
which was like McDonald's kind of ace in the hole for a while, but they're no longer $1. They're still pretty reasonable. They're like $1.50 for a large drink, but you get a large drink at like Wendy's or Taco Bell, it's like $3. So yeah, I don't know. Taco Bell is great. Beefy Crunch, Crunchwrap Supreme. They got some good stuff over there. Okay, a few others. We got A&W. I think the only redeeming thing there is the root beer freeze, which is amazing.
Well, and they let you buy like a half gallon of their root beer,
That's true.
and it's mind blowing. It's like so sweet.
Yeah, very good root beer. I feel like the rest is just kind of okay though. I feel like they always partner that restaurant with KFC. Yeah, I don't know why. Kind of a weird mixture there.
I'm gonna put both of those in
people...
B tier.
Okay. Yeah, I could see that. I'd probably put them in C for me. What about Arctic Circle?
Arctic Circle shakes are freaking fantastic.
Shakes are great.
You get a little vanilla wafer in there, and I like the spoon. Their food's a little strange to me sometimes.
I agree.
Like, I don't really know what I'm eating, but
yeah, I think everything except for their ice cream is generally like pretty bad.
yeah, I'm gonna go B here as well because I can really, I don't know, I can enjoy it.
Yeah, that's the hard thing too. I'm not incredibly picky, especially at this price. But I'm like, I gave you $5. Like, I'm not expecting the world here. Like, you give me something halfway edible, I'm gonna eat it. So yeah, I don't know. I'd probably put them in C tier. I think their food's like not very good. Carl's Jr. I think their burgers and fries are really good. I'd put them in A, I think. But they're starting to get towards like the slightly more expensive, like more medium, slightly less fast food. which we'll have for the next category.
Ooh, I really used to like Carl's Jr. and then I feel like it started to like weird me out or something. I don't remember. I'm gonna go B.
B. Okay. For a while, they had this weird like Captain Crunch milkshake.
Oh yeah,
Actually,
they
pretty
tried a
good.
lot of unique things.
Really weird ones. Yeah. I feel like we're probably missing like some very obvious low level one, but for time's sake, we'll probably just move on to the next one. So this is like what I'm thinking here. Well, I guess we got one more. I'm gonna do In and Out in this, just because it's like such a In and Out is gonna be an S tier for me. I don't know that I like the food like way better, but their service is unreal. Their food is very consistent. My wife has celiac disease, so she can't have gluten, and they're like very gluten friendly, um, which is a very specific like boon for David and my family. But In and Out, and they're fast too. Our drive through here gets way long, but they get people in and out. It's pretty good. So I'm gonna give In and Out an S tier. I think.
I think I am too. They have a simple menu, yet if you know the secrets, you can get an animal style, protein style. Everything is always accurate. You never take the food away and go, this isn't what I ordered. Their fries are very unique, but I like them. And they just got like those old fashioned kind of basic shakes, and I think it's cool. It's simple. Their burgers aren't overpriced like Five Guys.
Right.
Yeah, I'm going to go S tier as well.
Yeah, I think that's a good call. I do wish they had better soda. Their like soda machines need a little more. They don't have very many options in there, but that's okay. All right, on like the medium, like fast food. So here I would put like Five Guys, like you just mentioned. Here in Utah, we have Apollo and Astro Burger, which I really like. You've got like the Habit, Costa Vida, Cafe Rio. This is probably where like what's that place called? Panda Express, Woodfall. What else would be in this realm? This is probably Chipotle level as well. This is where when I get a little more picky with the food. So which one do you want to start with, Dev?
Five Guys.
Five Guys. Oof. I'm gonna go B tier.
What?
For me, their burgers are absolutely amazing.
Oh my gosh!
But they are, and so are their fries. I think their food is absolutely great, but they have inflated their prices exorbitantly.
Oh,
like, and so I don't know. For me, like price is a bit of a factor here. Where I feel like I used to be able to get a Five Guys burger for like $5-6, and it's like you start at 11 or 12.
Oh, you do? Yeah, you add bacon, you're up another $1.
Yeah, very expensive at this point. And so maybe I shouldn't like take the money into account. If I took the money out, I think their burgers are. I'd put them in A tier then. I think
if you take the money out for me, I put it in S tier. Their burgers are nearly perfect for me, but I want twice the beef. Like I want a triple patty because their patties seem thin to me.
Okay.
But the taste, oh my gosh, it's so good. S tier for me.
Very good. Okay. I'll put it in A then if we're not worrying about money. Okay. Shake Shack.
Been there one time. I'm going to give it A tier.
I only have once as well. I thought it was really good. Yeah, but I've only been once. I'm going to also do A. The Utah staple, Astro Burger and Apollo Burger. That one's a S tier for me. I think their burger's a little better. And I think it's just because Five Guys burgers, man, that thing gets sloppy. Like that thing can get wet. Like you get mushrooms or pickles on that thing. That thing's gonna be very wet by the time you.
I don't like when a burger won't stay together. It's like you've got freaking silicone spray or WD-40 in there, and it's like no wonder they need toothpicks. It's unreal. I ate a burger the other day with a fork, and I was like, "Why have I never done this before?"
Yeah, it's kind of nice.
Oh, it was amazing. I'm gonna give it A tier.
A tier, yeah, I think it's good. Their fry sauce kicks so good. Then you got like the American Mexican food. In Utah, we have Cafe Rio and Costa Vida. Cafe Rio for me has fallen a lot. I'd probably put it in B tier, maybe C. I just feel like their service has gone downhill and their food has as well. Costa Vida is excellent. So I'm gonna give Costa Vida an S tier.
I'm gonna give them both an A tier. I think the chips and queso at Cafe Rio is
Yeah,
unrivaled. It's
chips and
so
queso is good.
freaking good, and I love horchata. I love how you can get
Mm,
horchata. I always just you get a lot of food, and it's typically pretty dang good.
yeah, I agree. Okay, The Habit.
B tier for me. Yet I
Interesting.
do like their, what do they have? Fried green beans or something? Those things are unreal. No, what do they
They
call that?
have fries, sweet potato fries, and yeah, they might have the fried green bean. That might be at Cubby's.
It is at the Habit.
They have it at Habit.
What do they call that though? Cantera?
Yeah, they do have a special word for it.
Caspera. What is it? It's a
let's see. Green bean fries, The Habit. Tempura green beans?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Things
Yeah, I like The Habit. I'm gonna give it an A. I think that place is pretty good. If you want chicken sandwich, they have good ones. Good burger as well. What do they call it? Char burger?
Yes.
I feel like I'm missing a bunch of places.
Panda Express.
Panda. Ooh.
Oh man, you get me there on their best day. That's an S plus, baby.
Yeah, I'm gonna give them an S as well. I think pandas can be really good. It's very much probably not real Chinese food, but man, that orange chicken and the Beijing beef, whew, those are hard to beat. And they have the good shrimp one, but yeah, I always order the same thing. So yeah, S tier for me for Panda. I was trying to think of another one. Oh, we mentioned Chipotle. I've only been there once because we always go to Costa Vida, but S. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
I think
if you do a bowl or a burrito right there, first off, it's a ton of food and it's massive.
Yeah.
And it seems relatively healthy. And yes, very fresh.
Mm-hmm.
But you mix like the corn with the salsa and the sour cream. And then what would I get? I can't remember. Like meat always has unique titles. Like
yeah.
Chorizo. Is that a meat? I don't know.
It might be.
I honestly don't know. They don't just say like beef, pork. It's like some fancy terms. But most of their protein is super, super good. And yeah.
Yeah, I liked it when I went. I would put it in A, only going once because I haven't tried enough there. Let's see. Other restaurants kind of in this realm. Oh, I had another one just pop out of my head too. It was frick, can't remember. Can you think of any others?
Zhao.
Oh yeah, Zhao's. That was the one actually. I really like Zhao's. That would be an S tier for me.
Oh man, same. It's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if a lot of the listeners will even know what Zhao is.
Yeah, it's kind of like rice bowls, but it's so much better than like Rumby.
Yeah, but yeah, way better.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Way better. Yeah, Zhao's is great. Any other restaurants you think we should have in this category, Devin, before we move on to
I'm sure there's a bunch, but my brain doesn't work, so I don't know.
I agree. All right, chains. We got Cheesecake Factory. I'm going to give them a... Oh, man, I think they're pretty great. I'm going to give them an A, I think.
I'm also going to give them an A.
Chain restaurants are tricky because I feel like they get a bad rap as well, and some of them aren't like great, but again, I'm not very picky, and I can usually find something on any of their menus that I'm like, yeah, that was excellent.
I'm not either, but if anybody's listening to this and you're the type of person that enters a chain restaurant and you're already mad, I need an explanation. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that would be nice to hear, yeah.
I'm just so curious. I've seen like the disrespect. I'm like, this is so awkward. I don't want to be in here anymore because someone's meat was like literally cooked 15 seconds too long or something. I'm like, man, can you just eat that? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Next up is one I don't like actually, so I'm gonna go right with Sizzler, which I feel like is old fashioned and not very good. And I'm gonna give them a C tier.
I'm gonna give them a B tier, but I hardly remember.
Yeah, I've only been a few times, but didn't think it was worth the money any of the times. Chili's.
I'm gonna give them an A tier because of honey chipotle chicken crispers.
The chicken crispers, yeah, those are good. I'm gonna put them in B just because this next place I think does the wings and chicken better, and that is Wingers.
Wingers is bomb. You can get popcorn
Yeah.
as an appetizer, which is one of my favorite
Yeah.
snacks. And they
Mhm.
call theirs sticky fingers, don't they?
They do, yeah.
And that flavor's
Yeah.
really, really good too. I'm gonna give them an A
Really
tier.
good. Yeah, they're going S for me. Wingers is one of my favorites. Let's see. I had a couple others that I was thinking of.
Chuckarama.
I I haven't been to a buffet like Chuckarama in a long time.
Okay.
But when we were first married, Lacey and I went to a different one called Sweet Tomatoes, which might just be a local one here in Utah. Man, it was bad. It was not good.
Buffets can be weird, but sometimes they can be good. Like I'm gonna give Chuckarama a B tier, like B plus.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that.
I like how you can just keep eating. It's so nice.
That is true. That is kind of the hook, right? Reminds me of this. We'll throw this in, but there are a lot of, here in Utah at least, like sushi places where you can go and pay 25 bucks and have all you can eat sushi. You just aren't allowed to like leave anything, or else you have to pay for the rolls you didn't eat. Absolutely love that.
Oh
I
yeah.
love sushi. There's one by our house that we go to very often because it's like $21 for all you can eat, and we will just pound sushi like so much sushi. We should get sushi next time you're down here, Devin. But yeah, that's so good. Love those. Let's see. Any other chains? What are like other restaurants? I feel like I see these commercials while we're watching.
Yeah, I don't know.
Brooklyn Nine-Nine, since we
Applebee's.
don't. Yeah, I haven't been there in forever,
Me
so that one would
neither.
be hard
So
for
I
me to
have no
judge.
opinion.
What about the breakfast restaurant? You got the Denny's and the IHOP and Village. Is that Village Inn? I think.
Village Inn, I'm gonna put it B tier. I'm gonna put Denny's and IHOP at a C.
Yeah, I don't think those ones are very good. Okay. What about a step up in the breakfast realm? Black Bear Diner.
It might get an A tier for me. There's a ton of food, and
Yeah, I
sometimes
think
it's
that place is
super,
great.
super good. The problem I have with breakfast places is give me like a quart of syrup. I don't want a little cup of syrup and ice cold butter in that doesn't want to melt. And then you're just eating a dry pancake, like a dry bread. That bothers me.
That's true. Some of them are pretty stingy with the syrup. Black Bear has a special place in my heart. This is a tangent, but I have a stomach disease, so I have to have colonoscopies very regularly. And we always go to Black Bear Diner right after. And I'm like high from the propofol still, and so it's like the best experience ever when you're like kind of under the influence of drugs.
That's awesome.
And I always get the same thing. I get this country fried steak. What's that? Chicken fried steak breakfast. Oof, so good. I can't even remember what it's called because I was so out of it. Any other chains we're missing, Devin?
Texas
I know
Roadhouse.
Ooh, Texas Roadhouse. I feel like is pretty solid.
I agree. I'm gonna give it an A tier. Mm-hmm.
Should have written these down beforehand, but I was like, I can remember all the
I have this
restaurants
weird
that ever
thing.
existed.
Yeah, honestly, I have this weird thing I do at steakhouses. Instead of ordering steak, which they're like famous for, I order salmon, and I usually get let down. But I love salmon so much, and sometimes it's like good.
Salmon's great.
Oh, the texture of salmon is like unbelievable to me. My mouth is salivating right now.
I know. Talking about all this food, I'm very hungry. Salmon can be an easy one to get wrong, though. It can turn really dry.
It can, yes.
But yeah, I like a good salmon as well. All right. Well, I guess just in closing, for the more expensive restaurants for rich people, I haven't been to many. And I feel like every time I have been to one where I'm like paying $100 a plate or whatever, I'm always like, man, I would have rather gone to Wingers or one of these other places. So unless you're like the money is no like object to you, then more power to you. But that's definitely not how my life is. So
yeah, I'm pretty simple. I don't feel like I need to be seen in a fancy restaurant in a fancy outfit. I hate dressing up, to be honest. I prefer to go to McDonald's in my sweats, get the food over with, take it home, grab some candy on the way home, and eat all of it. I've eaten at some pretty nice restaurants when I was making good money with my ex. We'd like go downtown and we went to like not like rooftop, but really high up with a view. And I was like, I kind of feel out of place here. Like I'm not sophisticated enough to be sitting in this seat, and I'm actually excited to leave.
Right.
But like the
And
food's
you have to ask
typically
him,
good.
like, yeah, you have to ask him where the chicken nuggets are on the menu.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh. How do you pronounce capriata or whatever these words are? I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. That's funny. All right. Well, too many food options nowadays. Just like too many TV show options. There's just too much stuff, which is why we generally go to the same place over and over again. But, unless you were tricked into thinking otherwise, this is not a food podcast, though. This is a board game and video game podcast where we talk every single week about the games that we're playing, some news in the industry, and yeah, just generally laugh and have a good time as well. Thanks so much for being here with us and listening. If you want some extra perks like extra episodes, get the show early, then you can join us over on Patreon at patreon.com/supergamebrothers. And we also have a giveaway every month. This month, we're giving away a bundle of board games, Kiro, District Noir, and Splitter, or a $50 gift card to Amazon, Steam, or PlayStation Network, depending on where you live. If you're out of the country, I can't ship the game, sorry. Or if you just want the video game credit in your Nintendo eShop account, then there you go. So make sure to join that. There should be a link in the description of this video. It's also at supergamebrothers.com. You should be able to see the giveaway there too. So that was all the housekeeping there. So Devin, we're just going to jump right in this week since we did a kind of a longer opening segment, but I thought that was kind of fun.
It was.
We're going to jump right into the news mini nuke. And first up, we talk about game announcements and trailers. Devin, you might remember last week, the company that made Splitgate had a little tease for something new that they were going to show off. Well, they did. They showed it off. And
here it is.
Here it is. I was excited for it to hopefully not be Splitgate 2, but it is Splitgate 2. Which I guess makes sense. I guess the details here. It's coming to PlayStation, Xbox, and PC next year in 2025. And on the PlayStation blog, the details they wrote, there was a bit more than this, but they said, quote, "For now, I can share the basics. Splitgate 2 is a multiplayer first-person shooter made in Unreal Engine 5. It's free to play, it has a faction system, and is coming to PS5 and PS4 in 2025. Oh, and it has portals, of course." The trailer looks very pretty. It's just kind of a cinematic trailer. But it does show some cool new things. They mention a faction system in the little write-up. And it does look like the different characters have different abilities. One throws down like a little portable portal. So it doesn't have to like be on a wall. You could just throw up a portal anywhere with this little device. Another person throws up what looks like kind of a shield barricade. I don't know exactly how different they will end up being, but I don't know, some of those look like they could be cool things. And I can't remember, was the first game free? Was Splitgate free?
I feel like it was, but I don't know.
I thought it was as well, because in this blog post they made a point of noting that they're changing to free to play, and that's why they decided to go with Splitgate 2 instead of just forever updating Splitgate.
Oh.
But, maybe they just wanted the marketing kind of beat to be able to announce a new game, but I don't know. We'll see what the gameplay looks like. They said they're going to have a lot more to show in August, which seems like it will be at Gamescom then, probably at Jeff Keighley's Gamescom. What do they call that? Opening night live video presentation. So if you like Splitgate, new one coming out next year. Next up, there's a game based on the movie series A Quiet Place that we've talked about a few times recently. And IGN got a 10-minute gameplay snippet from the game as like an exclusive. I really like A Quiet Place, at least the movie series. And the company that is making this game has made a couple games, one of them not very well received and one of them pretty well received. So I really hope that this will be kind of a breakout game for them. A couple of weeks ago, I was saying it would be really cool if they had a feature based on the main character's asthma, and they do.
It
You
looks
have
like
to
they
like
do.
find you have to find some what are they called? Inhalers. I can't tell. There's not a lot of details if it's like just on a timer, like after a certain amount of time, she just needs another shot, or if it's when you get too stressed, or if like the aliens around. I think visually the game looks pretty cool. Like the monster looks cool later in the this gameplay snippet. It's like sneaking around, and you have to like sneak around it, and you can even like walk right around it because they can't see. Right, it's kind of a thing they can only hear. So I don't know. I think aesthetically, it looks really cool. But this gameplay segment that they chose to share with IGN, I don't feel like was a great one. Pretty boring 10 minutes of just kind of sneaking through some rooms, picking up a couple of things like some more inhalers or batteries for the flashlight and stuff. And then it doesn't really show much gameplay really, other than the walking around. The only thing at the end, the monster does hear the character and like jumps on you and I guess kills you. I hope that the gameplay isn't that like black and white with like, oh, you got heard, now it's an insta fail, because that would be lame. There needs to be more kind of a dynamic gameplay than that. Like in Alien Isolation, you could get heard or even seen by the thing, but if you were able to like break line of sight and run and like get in a locker and then hold your breath, like you might survive that, maybe, or use like a flamethrower or something to kind of get him out of the room for a minute. So I don't know, a little torn by the gameplay snippet there. Looks cool, but the like moment to moment gameplay looked kind of boring and stiff. So I don't know. I hope it can be good. We'll see. That was A Quiet Place: The Road Ahead. You'll have to watch that gameplay snippet after the show, Devin, and see what you think. But I thought it looked a little stale. All right, next up, Nintendo is releasing 2 new sets of amiibo, both for Splatoon 3. I don't know what these characters' names are, but Splatoon 3's Grand Festival starts September 13th, and these sets of amiibo will be available on September 5th, and I think you can already pre-order them, and they come in these double packs. And they're basically just 4 of the little, what do they call them, squid kids? Or squid, I think they're called squid kids, which is kind of a clever name in my opinion, but Splatoon's a very fun game. I feel like in the hardcore, like hardcore is maybe not the right word, but in like the audience of gamers, Splatoon maybe doesn't get like its credit. But man, what a cool like idea of you're not just trying to shoot the other enemy, but you're trying to have control of the map. And you can move faster through your own ink than through the other team's ink. Some really cool weapons, really fun game. I haven't played number 3, but I do have 1 and 2. It's just been a little bit since I've played them. So if you like amiibo, there are those that you can pre-order. Next up, also some toy-related stuff. There are 4 Fortnite Lego sets that seem to have leaked. The 4 sets are, the first one is the Battle Bus. This set is 954 pieces, has like 9 minifigs from the game, and is $100. Just for your daily reminder that Lego are overpriced. The next one is Peelybone, who I think is 1,400 pieces, kind of a big statue of the banana dude. I guess he turns into zombie banana or something. That one is also $100, which kind of makes a little more sense to me. It's a little bit bigger as like a collectible statue item, but I don't know. Third is the Supply Llama, kind of that. I think that it's that llama that you break open in the game to get all of the supplies out of. So Supply Llama is the right name. That one is $40. It is 691 pieces. See, it's almost 700. And the Battle Bus was like 900. I'm like, how is that one $60 more? Comes with a few minifigs, but are minifigs that expensive? I guess I don't know. I'm like not in the Lego world really, other than a few sets that we get for our kids. Again, when they're heavily discounted. And then last up is the Durr Burger. It was $15, 193 pieces for that silly looking cheeseburger dude from Fortnite. So if you like Fortnite and or Lego, there's that. Which of those sets would you get, Devin?
Probably the banana.
Yeah, I thought that was the most creative, kind of cool one.
Yeah, it looked decent on top of a desk, I guess.
Yeah. Okay, next up, another kind of odd item. Nintendo is releasing a new charging dock for their Joy-Con controllers. This dock kind of has a stand, and you can also take it off of the stand and play with the Joy-Con attached to this middle charging unit, which is kind of cool that you can charge them while you're playing, because that is kind of a problem. It's only coming out in Japan, at least for now. We'll see if it makes its way over the ocean or not. I am very, very much don't like the Joy-Cons just because they are terrible. Like, they have no longevity. You order some, they're $80 a set, and they have stick drift like next week. Like,
that's crazy to charge more than a DualSense, or the same price as a DualSense, and to not last very long.
Yeah, I think they're incredibly like. The controller's pretty cool, has some cool features, but just like you said, the DualSense has better features in my opinion, and is more reliable. So I hope they figure that out with the Switch too. Like, get some Hall effect sensors in those analog sticks so we can get rid of that drift, because it's brutal. Like Devin mentioned at the top, it is a holiday here in Utah, one where we're allowed to use fireworks. So we got some fireworks in the background. So just know that we're celebrating you, dear listener. Thanks for listening. And the fireworks are all for you. Okay, so that is that new charging dock for Joy-Cons. Next up is a game called The Run Got Next. And it is a 3-on-3 NBA Street type game that doesn't have much more than this trailer to announce it. It doesn't even really show gameplay. It's just some of the characters and them dribbling the basketball. But it's being made by an ex-producer from Electronic Arts, so hopefully it can be fun. I really liked some of the Street games in the past. I thought NFL Street especially was like uber fun. And NBA Street was pretty fun too. But I just feel like we played more Madden than we did like basketball games growing up, and so the NFL Street just kind of clicked with us better, in my opinion. Did you like those, Devin?
I did, yeah. We made funny characters for NBA Street. My character's name was Eddie Cutlass.
Nice.
And then we made Soup Fufu and Dexter ATM.
Dexter ATM. Soup Fufu, huh?
Yeah, those are the three names. It was me, our brother, and our cousin. We used to really like these games.
They're a pretty good time, just kind of in like NBA Jam style. Yeah, so I don't know. That one, hopefully it's good. There have been a couple other like basketball games that came out that like weren't very good. Like I think one was called like 3-on-3 freestyle or something. I don't know. So hopefully that one can have a bigger splash.
Yeah.
Next up is kind of a big thing. Helldivers 2 is getting a big new update on August 6th. This update is called Escalation of Freedom.
Whoa.
Really kind of a name that fits the bro status of the game for sure. The new things are, there's a new difficulty level, so difficulty level 10, which sounds insane because I think I only ever played up to 7 maybe, and I thought that was like unbelievable. But if you're ready for a higher level than 9, then you're going to get one. There are new enemies. One of them coming over from the first game is called the Impaler, and it kind of launches these arms up out of the ground, I think 3 arms, and just tries to stab you with them. Another one is called the Spore Charger. That's a charger basically with these like poisonous spores on it, so it has kind of a cloud of poison gas around it. And then it showed kind of an artillery tank for the automatons. Didn't show it in much detail, but pretty cool looking like tank that shot these mortars. kind of missiles up in the air. Next, there is a new outpost type. I think there were like small and large outposts, but they're making an even bigger one than large. I think the term they used in the trailer here was like a fortress, maybe, just really big, like outposts. There is a new swamp area, acid storms that reduce your enemy armor, but also, or reduce the enemy armor, but also your own player armor. So it's a lot more risky fighting in that. New objectives, and then they made a few hints that there would be some new surprises. So that'll be pretty cool. I do think, I wish that they could update with these big updates like this faster. So like add some new enemies. I really hope they add a new race of enemies. So it's just not the automatons and the terminids forever. This is one of the new objectives that they're showing where you have to find this kind of vial with a baby terminid like larva in it, and you have to put it in your backpack. And I guess it just screams the whole time. And so while you're trying to get it to the extraction point, it's calling in like it's mom and all its friends to come kill you. Kind of a creative idea, but I don't know. Hopefully that will be a big hit. I know the game's numbers have kind of fallen off a little bit, but it was so big in February and March and April that even quite a fall, it's probably still pretty massive. So Helldivers 2 is a lot of fun. I just need to hop back in when the time is right. Which of those new enemies look most interesting to you, Devin?
I like the swamp looking area. The thing that stuck out to me was just the little thing you capture and put in your backpack. Probably because I assume that it takes the place of something you tried to take into the match. A lot of those weapons, you had to have a backpack to reload them or whatnot. Right. So it might nerf you a little bit. You're going to have to be strategic in what you take in. I think that's cool.
You're probably right. Cool. So that is out on August 6th. I can't believe it's almost August, but it's going to be August next week somehow. All right. Next up, Party Animals has been out on Xbox and PC for a while, I think, but it's coming to PlayStation, it seems. There was a listing found in the database on PlayStation Network. So if you've been looking forward to that game, which I think does look like a pretty fun, just kind of silly party time. I like the floppy animal vibe. So hopefully it's got enough kind of gameplay chops there to kind of stand up with that cool visual vibe that it has. So that was a pretty short one. And then Devin here, I wanted to talk about gacha games again. We talked about them last week for probably 20 minutes. And I feel like from that conversation, I was like, man, I don't feel like I feel like I'm kind of writing them off. That like, these aren't real games to me, and I don't think I'm going to play one. And I was like, maybe I'm not being fair to them. Like, we kind of ended our conversation last week that maybe this is just like a new vertical in gaming where you've got single player regular games that are 60, 70, $40 or whatever. And then you've got this vertical where people are playing these. And so for the last week, I've been thinking in my head, maybe I need to try one of these. And then a piece of news came out that Wuthering Waves, I guess, which is one that I don't know, is coming to PlayStation 5, which I wrote here in the notes. Wuthering Waves has been announced for Gacha Station 5. I'm just kind of continuing that joke. And so I went kind of down a gacha rabbit hole. So I wanted to just go through what looks like the 7 or 8 biggest gacha games that are on the PlayStation 5 and just go over a few details from each one. And then maybe at the end of that, we can decide which of those we would maybe try. Because I don't know. I feel like maybe I should try one. Again, I'm nervous to do so just because of the collectability aspect and how I feel like the business model is kind of predatory. But just the gacha game recap, history recap session here. First up, got Genshin Impact. That came out on April 28th of 2021 by Chinese company. I think it's called MiHoYo, but they've kind of rebranded to HoYoverse is the term they use. It has a strong 81 on OpenCritic, and it's been very big since it came out. I think it made $2 billion in its first year. which is a little bit ridiculous. That's a lot of money. We're not quite in Fortnite level that I think was making like $1 billion a month for a minute. I might not be remembering those numbers right, but way more money than like I don't even know. $2 billion is more than probably The Last of Us, The Last of Us Part 2, God of War, and God of War Ragnarok, and Spider-Man have made. I don't know, just like in comparison's sake. It might not be like perfectly. I'm not like sitting down here analyzing the numbers, but just so you're kind of aware of like the scope here. So that one's kind of a big one. It has been called online kind of like Breath of the Wild mixed with waifus with you know, the anime art and lots of mostly female characters that you can get in your random drops. So that is Genshin Impact. Next up, a couple years later, same company, MiHoYo, released Honkai Star Rail in October of 2023. This one has a strong 83 on OpenCritic, and on a few different lists that I saw online of the best gacha games, this one was number one on a couple of them, so which I was kind of surprised about. This one is supposedly a bit more linear and like respect your time a little bit more. It's not like supposed to be like quite as much of like a time suck. It's also turn-based in its fighting, which I could maybe get down with. It looks like the turn-based fights are fully animated, which is like something that's almost a must for me. If like the character doesn't move at all when I push the button, I'm just like, okay. So I don't know. That was the next one though. Honkai Star Rail. Again, I mean, similar sort of vibe. You got the anime style dudes and ladies in there that you're getting as your drops. Next up, Disney and Gameloft in April. I guess this one might have been before actually, but in April of 2023, released Disney Speedstorm, which is basically Mario Kart with Disney characters. That didn't review very well when it first came out. It has a fair 68 on OpenCritic, but I think that it's had quite a few big updates and people kind of like it at this point. I mean, just looking at like the gameplay here, it kind of looks like it could be fun.
I agree.
I really like a good kart racer, and the problem would be if there was much like pay to win in the game where like certain character drops were faster. Like that's a problem. But if it's just like cosmetic and yay, I unlocked Sully and now he looks cooler in my cart, like I could maybe play that. I think my kids would really like that.
But I would hope that it was just cosmetic because it looks like it's PvP.
Yeah.
And so that
I think it is.
I don't know. That's discouraging when other people are willing to spend so much money and you can't compete. Makes you kind of not want to play the game.
I agree. Yep. That was kind of the next one. Then the next one I feel like is the most kind of mature looking one of the bunch that we have talked about to this point. It's called Tower of Fantasy by a company called Perfect World Entertainment. It has a weak 65 on OpenCritic, and it's more kind of MMO focused. I thought this one looked the least interesting to me, but just kind of, again, similar kind of vibe. But you've got bigger groups, I think, going into these MMO kind of fights. All right, and then we got two from this year. The first, Descendant from Nexon, who is a Korean company, on July 2nd. It has a really low score on OpenCritic. It has a 55, and Push Square gave it a 3.
Wow.
But I know a lot of people have kind of enjoyed it recently. This is the one that is supposed to be kind of Destiny with anime characters. And they kind of stole like Destiny's icons we talked about last week about how they had to they're changing those now. They had 10 million players in their first 7 days, which is kind of nuts. Again, when a game is free, it's easy to download. So how many of those stuck around is probably a much more important question. But I thought this quote that Push Square had on this article was also interesting. Quote, The title, which is regularly peaking at almost 300,000 concurrents on Steam, is currently being played more than titans like NBA 2K24, Roblox, Elden Ring, and Minecraft, at least on PlayStation. And so I feel like I just the scale of these free games is just like crazy. In like its first month here, it's just having like hundreds of thousands of concurrents, which any of those other games would kill for. That's like getting up to like Helldivers level of concurrence. So yeah, just nuts. Like big game. That one doesn't look. I think the gunplay looks like it might be fun, but visually, I thought that one looked kind of the least interesting. Kind of, I don't know. Not that many of these look much different from each other, to be honest. And then next up is Zenless Zone Zero. This one is again from MiHoYo. It came out on July 4th, and I thought this one and Honkai Star Rail are probably the two that look most interesting to me. It has a strong 76 on OpenCritic. It got an 8 from Push Square. It had 50 million downloads in the 2 days after its launch on July 4th. That includes like PC and mobile, along with the PlayStation 5 downloads. And it also broke the top 10 most played in the USA on PlayStation's charts last month. So it seems like it's the most recent from HoYoverse, after Genshin and Honkai. So it seems like they've kind of got a built-in audience that likes their HoYoverse games. More kind of fast-paced combat, kind of like, what are those games called? Oh man, it's right on the tip of my tongue. Bayonetta is kind of based on them, and I can't. Devil May Cry is kind of the vibe I get from like the combat, kind of combo-based fighting. It looks like. So I don't know. And then last week we talked about the new one that was announced last week. That's coming sometime this year. That's Neverness to Everness with a really weird name. That kind of has the Grand Theft Auto vibes to it, where you can also, beyond kind of the regular characters and fighting, you can get vehicles and you kind of explore this big city. And I like the vehicle portion of that game. Looks kind of cool. So that one comes out sometime this year. And then the news this week was that Wuthering Waves, which has been out, I think, on PC and mobile for a few months, is coming to PlayStation 5 as well. So there's just a million of these games just in the last few years. I don't know, Devin. I just said a lot of gotcha words. Were any of those gotcha words like interesting to you at all? Would you play any of these games? Which one of the 8 that I just talked about is most likely to get a Devin download?
Maybe Neverness to Everness, what we're watching right now. It adds something that the others don't have. You're not just going and slicing aimlessly and endlessly, hoping for some rare drop. I struggle with these games just a little bit because unless you're so invested to the game, if your friends aren't playing it with you, who cares if you just gotten a red tier rarity item? Like,
yeah, that's a good point. I wonder which ones of these have co-op or like multiplayer of some sort.
Yeah, like I spent a lot of money.
I don't know if Genshin does. Look.
I don't know either. I think Genshin does. I believe it does. Okay. But I've spent a lot of money in games because my friends were playing it and we all wanted to look a specific way and it was fun to grind for things together. It's not all about attention and recognition from others, but that did entice me to go after things and spend countless hours doing things in this game. This looks fun because you're in like a unique city. You get a car, you get to deck out the car. It's still this fun art style, yet you're doing things beyond just slash,
Yeah, I agree. I like the way the vehicle looks, and maybe it's just because it's a Porsche, and I thought the car looked kind of cool. But so I don't know. I don't know that I have many more thoughts than our Gacha conversation last week. But yeah, I think this one, Neverness to Everness, looks interesting. I thought Honkai Star Rail, since it had the best OpenCritic review score, and was on a couple lists as the best one. And one article said it respected your time more. So I was like, okay, maybe that would be the one I try. But in all actuality, the one I would probably try is the Disney Speedstorm one because my kids would want to play it.
Yeah, very true.
So I don't know. I just wanted to at least give kind of a background history here of what is going on, because 2 weeks in a row we've had an announcement of another Gacha game coming to PlayStation, and I imagine that is just going to continue to happen, especially with how much money some of these are making. So yeah, please write in. Let us know which of these games you've played. If maybe there were quite a few that I didn't include on this list that are just on mobile. So I think mobile is a big focus for these games, especially probably in Japan, where mobile is, I just think, used a lot more for gaming than it is in America. But yeah, that was just kind of an update on Gacha that I wanted to run through real quick. All right, that's the the video game announcements. There's a few board game announcements that happened this week, and with these, I'm just going to read the little flavor text paragraph from the publisher just to give you a little hint of what the game might be like, because a lot of these only have like a picture at this point. First up is a game called Station to Station. It's a 2 to 4 player game from Steven Aramini and Johnny Peck. Those are two pretty well known designers, and from Alley Cat Games, who make some really good stuff. I have Tinner's Trail from them right behind me, and I really want Arborea right now, and I've been looking for where to get that, so I might be ordering it from their website pretty soon. We'll see. That one is debuting in October at Essen Spiel, and the quote here is, "In Station to Station, a pick up and deliver game that features engine building and set collection. You need to carefully plan your route, hire the right crew, and manage your cargo if you want to have the most legendary locomotive of all time." So yeah, I don't know much about it. They kickstart a lot of their games, but it seems like this one's just coming right out to retail. So that's cool. The next two are also train games. It was kind of interesting. It was just like boom, 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 train, train, train. This one's called Train and Railway. It's for 2 to 4 players from a designer I'd never heard of. Japanese name, I believe. So I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing it right, but it's Zonger. And the studio is called Good Game Studio. It's a 2024 release. And the quote is, and I'm going to say it just like it's quoted here. Woo woo! GG Island boasts abundant natural resources, yet suffers from inadequate transportation infrastructure and scarcity of resources among nations. As a developer, how would you satisfy the needs of various countries? Throughout Train and Railway, players must draw railways, transport goods, or produce manufactured items and deliver them to different nations to earn points. To enhance commercial efficiency, how can you strengthen your own abilities? Take on various missions and become the top railroad tycoon. So you do kind of like draw on the board with like dry erase markers, it looks like, to kind of draw your routes. I don't know if this is like a flip and write or roll and write game where you're kind of bound to whatever cards are out or something, but I don't know. Kind of looks cool there on the board. So we'll see some more details about that one in the next few months, most likely. And then the third train one is Cargo Empire. It was crowdfunded back in December of 2023, and they're trying to get it out to retail in Q4 of this year. And the note they said here is, Cargo Empire is a pick-up and deliver board game with point-to-point network building. Players immerse themselves in a complex world of transportation networks, striving for glory, wealth, and power as leaders of one of the 4 major families on the continent of what is that? Diorly? There is only one action in this game. Yeah, diagonally. There's only one action in this game, and that is transporting cargo. Players must navigate a changing landscape, weaving between cities and using various transport modes to score points. To dominate, players must plan their network of trading posts meticulously and keep a sharp eye on long-term rewards. Can you build the mightiest cargo empire? A lot of these, this is David now talking, a lot of these little synopsis paragraphs like to throw in the question mark. Can you build the best empire? Can you score the most points? Can you move the cardboard around?
You're like, I think I definitely can, and now I'm gonna buy this.
Yeah. I think I read the whole thing there. I don't remember. We're just gonna cut to the next one. This one's interesting. This is Wilmot's Warehouse. It's a cooperative game inspired by the organizational puzzle video game of the same name. I actually have this video game. I just haven't played it much, only the first few minutes, but you're organizing this warehouse. The interesting thing about this game is Shut Up and Sit Down is helping with some of the development. They're one of the biggest board game YouTube channels in the world. Here is the quote for this one. In Wilmot's Warehouse, your team will work cooperatively to organize the warehouse using memory, imagination, and silly stories you make up. Draw product tiles from the stack, discuss what they look like, and place them somewhere you'll remember. After you place each tile, you flip it over and can't look at it again until the end of the game. So your team has to remember where you've placed previous tiles as you decide where to place new ones. At the end of the game, in a 5-minute rush, your team has to match all 35 face-down tiles with customer cards. Consult your performance review to see how well you did. There's been some reviews and stuff of this game going up this week. It seems very unique in kind of that aspect. Memory is not something I usually like in board games, trying to remember where things are. I don't like information being hidden from me unless it's like information that the other players have. But this is just something that someone with a better memory than me would do better at than me. Since it's a co-op game, that might help with that a little bit. But that one is getting quite a bit of buzz at the moment, so it'll probably be big this year. Next up is another co-op game. This is called Until Proven Guilty. Co-op game for 1 to 6 players that seems very much inspired by Phoenix Wright. Even the character on the cover is pointing in a courtroom, just like Phoenix Wright does. He might be yelling objection with that finger pointed. The note here is Until Proven Guilty is a narrative cooperative game inspired by court-themed visual novels, television series, and video games. In the game, you take on the role of Peter, a brilliant lawyer who's still a rookie and yet now involved in complicated criminal trials, exactly like Phoenix Wright to that point. Can you help Peter defend his client? Each turn, read the trial card and choose an evidence card to refute it. Enter the evidence number into the web app and read the result. If it's correct, some jurors will side with you and you can continue in the trial. If it's wrong, some jurors may side with your opponent and you'll have to try again. Depending on the evidence you choose, you may even receive personalized answers. So I don't know, that could be fun. This one is called The Starry Necklace. Seems like it's going to be a line of different cases if this one performs well. That's by DV Games. Okay, another one by DV Games, Lost in Adventure, The Labyrinth. 1 to 6 players, again a co-op game. Lots of co-op games right now, I feel like. We'll talk about that more later in the episode, but co-op games are just big right now. This one was inspired by video games, and specifically adventure video games of old. The quote here, in the cooperative game Lost in Adventure, you and your fellow players will together explore an unknown world where your every action impacts how the story unfolds. You discover the game scenery as you go, placing cards side by side, talking to characters you meet, collecting clues, and using objects wisely. Your decisions will affect the adventure and lead you to one of the possible endings. Your goal is to fulfill all the prophecies and complete the adventure with as many favors as possible. In Lost in Adventure, The Labyrinth, you take on the role of a legendary hero who's searching for the mythical Minotaur at the heart of a labyrinth as well known around the world as it is challenging to navigate. The game map reveals itself throughout the game, one scenario card at a time as you progress in an adventure astride the edge of legend and reality. Whew, that was a lot of words, but anyways, those were kind of the hobby board games this week. There was one more set of announcements this week from Exploding Kittens, who made Exploding Kittens and then rebranded their entire company, I believe, to that name. First one is, and all of these games are out this month in July. Some of them partnered with Walmart, so you should see them in stores pretty quick. First one is Zombie Burrito, which is, well, I'll just read the paragraph. Zombie Burrito is a standalone game that features the core gameplay from Throw Burrito, but now players are divided into two teams, zombies and survivors. Players want to collect sets of 3 matching cards, with some cards providing special abilities to the survivors, others benefiting the zombies, and some triggering intense battles between each side. During the battles, players use squishy burritos to knock out their opponents. The first team to win 3 battles wins the game. You basically huck those things at each other. Next up is one called You Little Stinker. You Little Stinker is a simple picture matching game designed specifically for young children. It features a dog-shaped dice shaker that makes it easy for little hands to shake and roll. To play, place the dice in the doggy shaker, give it a shake, and roll the dice. Match your dice with the picture cards. Bones are super lucky, but players must watch out for stinky mud puddles. A few lucky rolls and a few smart choices will win the game. Kind of a cute looking kids game. And 2 more. This third one is a drinking game called When Sip Hits the Fan. And it has some sort of spinner. And when the spinner is going, anyone at the table can stop the spinner. Whoever stops it first will get either the reward or the punishment based on where it is. So if you stop it first, it's going to be spinning faster than if you wait. But if you wait, then someone else might stop it. Just kind of a dumb drinking game, in my opinion. But they call it a hydration game that gives you the spins. Anyways. And last in this line is Catchables. Catchables names both a set of collectible squishy foam toys, Rainbow Ralphing Cat, Lumber Cat, Donut Cat, etc. Looks like there's Self-Care Cat here too. And a game played with these toys. To play, each player starts with their own catchable and an action card. On a turn, a player throws their catchable in the air, then performs the stunt on their action card. If they succeed, they place 2 additional action cards in front of themselves or other players, stacking additional challenges for a more challenging next turn. If they fail, they discard 1 or more of their cards. The first player to complete a catch while performing at least 5 actions wins. You must have to throw it up, do the things on the card, and then catch the things still. Very silly. That's kind of their niche, though, at Exploding Kittens, is to make games like these. So, thought I would give them a little call out. All right, we're almost through the news mini nuke here. Next up in games that are free to subscription services, there's only one new game on Game Pass. On July 24th, which is today, Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3 comes to Xbox Game Pass. This is coming to console, PC, and Ultimate, and this will be a big deal. I think this was the last... Was this the last Call of Duty?
I honestly have no idea.
Yeah, I honestly don't know either. But it has every mode, single player, multiplayer, and I think it has... I can't remember if this is one of the ones that has zombies. I think it does. But yeah, so if you like Call of Duty and didn't buy this last one, it's going to be included with Game Pass. I wonder how much this will help Game Pass grow. Not as much as Black Ops 6 probably will when it's the brand new one and is in Game Pass on day 1 come October. But anyways, that is the new game for Game Pass this week. They usually release a full list for this is the second half of July's list, but that was the only game they talked about this week. It's kind of a big one though. So, all right, on the Epic Game Store, they have one free game this week, and it's a good one. It's called Fist, kind of the acronym FIST, Forged in Shadow Torch, and it's a Metroidvania game made by I think a Chinese company. You play as, I think it's a rabbit, if I remember correctly, that is in kind of this mechanical suit with one giant robot arm, and you're upgrading your suit, and you're going through this kind of steampunk, animal-filled Metroidvania world. I've played probably 2 hours of it, but then for whatever reason just kind of fell off to the next game in my never-ending list of games. I do want to get back to it. It's supposed to be really great, reviewed really well, so I want to play this one. So make sure to add that one to your collection, especially if you like Metroidvania games, because that's what this is. All right, and then last up, the new video games that came out this week. Really huge one. EA Sports College Football 25. This is the first college football game in a long time, and this game is going to be absolutely massive. College football is very big in America. And yeah, I don't know. It's got a mighty 84 on OpenCritic, so it seems like it's reviewing pretty well. I mean, it's the same company that makes Madden, so I imagine they're able to use quite a bit of like the same tech. I did like they show this section here where I guess if you're like the visiting team and the crowd is cheering super loud, like all of the routes that they were showing the receivers running were like kind of vibrating and shaking, so it's like you're kind of like losing your focus based on the like intensity of the crowd, I guess. Game looks very pretty. I haven't played like a Madden game like this in probably a decade, and I wonder like how much different it feels. They definitely look fancier.
Yeah, it looks
But I
realistic.
wonder if it would feel almost the same. Like I'm choosing to play, I'm pressing a button to throw. Like how much like depth is there in the mechanics? I'm not sure.
I'm sure there's more
But
than we know,
anyways,
but our strat is just
yeah,
to always switch to the guy closest to the ball and spam triangle to
yeah,
intercept.
yeah, exactly. uh, I feel like these sports games are hard to get like really deep into because the move set is like very complicated to map to a controller. Because like the NBA 2K games, for example, I think are also very pretty, very fun. But if I want to like map, call a screen, and then I dribble behind my back or between my legs, or I want this to be a layup, I want this to be a dunk, I want this to be a bounce pass, I want this to be a chest pass. That's like 75 different variables I just did, and you have to have like movement on like the right analog stick or some like a system of button presses to simulate all that. And so I can get very like in the weeds with the uh, just kind of the control mapping. And so I wonder if Madden's kind of like that, where there's instead of just triangle for intercept, it's like intercept with your right hand, or try to do pass interference. And what if I just tackle the guy? I don't know. There's probably, like you said, a lot more depth than we realize. Anyways, if you like college football, that one's going to be massive. Next up is one we've been talking about for a few weeks. It's Dungeons of Hinterberg. It has a strong 80 on OpenCritic. It's also included on Game Pass, so if you have Game Pass, try it out. I think aesthetically it looks really cool. Just kind of like a hack and slash, but a very colorful vibe there. And last up is the one I'm most excited about this week. It comes out tomorrow, and I don't know how much it costs, but I might be checking it out. It's called Arranger, a role puzzling adventure. And it's a puzzle game. It's kind of like a slide puzzle to move your character. And when you move, everything in your row or column like moves with you, and you have to get things in certain positions. The same artist that did the art from Braid, I think. So it's like very pretty, colorful art and a cool kind of puzzle aesthetic. So I hope it's really good. I just have had quite like a shift in my priorities for where I buy games recently. I'm just buying everything on Steam. Unless it's like some big game that I don't think my Rogue Ally can run. But if it's like a indie game like this, that's where I want to play it. I want to play it on my handheld that can still do it at 1080 and 120 frames per second if I wanted to. Which is such a change for me because I've been so into trophies and I play everything on PlayStation that I'm like in a weird, like this one, I don't even know where do I probably want to play it on my handheld. And this is like a whole other tangent. There are so many websites that sell Steam keys, and so you can get games way cheaper. Like if I buy a game on Fanatical or Green Man Gaming, and I think or CD keys, those are just the first three that come to mind, but I think there are dozens more than those. Like for example, I was going to talk about this later, but I just bought that Bow game that we looked at last week, the kind of Japanese style Metroidvania, kind of like Hollow Knight, Path of the Teal Lotus or something. is $20, but I bought it on Green Man Gaming, and they sell a Steam code, so I just put a code in Steam, and it's in my Steam library. So it's as if I bought it on Steam, but I got it for like 25% off. And that CD Keys or whatever I bought it from, or excuse me, Green Man Gaming doesn't charge sales tax. So I got it for exactly $15.99 instead of what would have been $19.99 plus tax. And so I feel like you can be really strategic with your purchases on PC, whereas on console you just don't have any options. I buy it from PlayStation Network and that's it. So I don't know, I'm in this weird I don't know, kind of position where I just want to buy everything on Steam, which is such a new thing for me and I'm kind of freaking out about it. But anyways, I'll probably get this on Steam just because of that. Anyways, that was a tangent, but Arranger I think looks really cool. Woo, that was a lot, Devin. A lot of talking. That was the not what we've been playing. That was the news mini nuke for the week. Lots of game announcements, some amiibo and some Legos if you're into that kind of thing. Yeah, lots of stuff. So now we're gonna get into the games we have been playing. Devin, I'm gonna let you go first since my jaw kind of hurts from reading all of those board game synopses. So take it away.
I'm about to take it away. Okay.
Nice.
So as you can see on the screen, I played for maybe an hour and a half. I don't know. How long is this video? Well, this video consists of different games. But I got to try the Concord beta even after it ended. I don't know how. It was supposed to be over on Sunday. Funny. And it still worked when I logged in. 5v5, very Overwatch-ish. Apparently, I've never played Overwatch, but I have watched it. Here's me changing settings because that's what I do. Let's get back to some gameplay. The game, honestly, was super pretty. Very unique. Yeah. Every character, very unique movement. Different jumping styles. Some of them had double jumps. Some of them did not. Some of them could roll and spawn a clone. Some of them didn't really roll with a double tap of the dodge button. So that was kind of cool. A variety in the characters. Gunplay felt decent, but it also felt like I was trying to play a PvP game made by Capcom. And it felt a little bit weird. And what I mean by that is it felt like I was using Jill Valentine with built-in input lag to try to shoot other people on the screen. Even with adjusting settings, it felt a little bit slow motion. It's very hard to aim extremely precisely. And I don't know if that's just a console thing. It might run way better on PC. This might feel super, super good on KBM. It also could have been that I was playing it through a capture card, which is supposed to not have any latency. So I don't really know. But overall, people were bashing the game in chat. I was streaming this, and I didn't think it was terrible. I thought it was pretty fun. You could be strategic. You don't want to just run in and fight everybody. That's how you instantly die over and over and over. You want to play as a team and use corners and use abilities. I think it could actually be pretty promising. We will see when it releases. I don't know if I'll play it then or not.
Yeah, this one I've got a few comments if that's all right.
Yeah.
I thought it looked really cool too. It's really pretty, like you mentioned. Graphics are really good. I don't know that I love how all the characters look. Some of them look kind of doofy, in my opinion. But the game looked beautiful. That is weird about the input lag, is you mentioned that a few times on your stream. That's something they've got to fix. And I also I was listening to some other people talk about the game, and they were saying that just the lack of settings on PlayStation made them, they immediately went and played it on their PCs because they could change that. There was a FOV slider on PC, for example, whereas there's not on the PlayStation. So they really need to try to make parity there because, yeah, you can't be having input lag when you're playing that game on console. And I imagine it's not your capture card, especially if you don't really feel it when you're playing Rocket League or anything else, which is also generally through your capture card, right?
Rocket League is just on my PC, but a lot of games are through the
right.
capture
Bad
card.
Example, but a lot of the games you play are through there. So I think you, especially someone who cares so much about settings, will be able to tell the difference. And if it felt weird, that's definitely something. I've heard that a lot of people thought that most of the characters move way too slowly.
Yeah, it felt slow. Mm-hmm.
Other than a few. And so, yeah, I've seen kind of both ends of the spectrum of this online too. A lot of people really hating on it, but then some people saying like, yeah, I feel like there is like a fun game in there. They just have a couple things to hopefully fix with like the input lag you mentioned and tidying up the settings between the two platforms. It does seem like they're going to do something drastic with this game. Another game just had a beta this week. It was Marvel Rivals. It was the kind of the Marvel version of Overwatch where you can play as Venom and Star-Lord or whatever. It was like kind of shown in the same summer Game Fest presentation. That game, and I think if I remember what I read correctly, you had to pay to get into their beta, and it had like 50,000 concurrent players. And during this last weekend on Steam, which was the open beta, a week after the closed beta, Concord only had like 1,300 concurrents. And I'm just like, oh, that's really low. And so I don't know. I don't know if just the negative buzz maybe coming out of like the week before, people didn't sign on and play. And then you've got the $40 price tag here versus, which you didn't have to pay to get in the open beta, but for the final game you will. So that's going to hurt it too. A lot of people think that Sony's going to kind of change their mind, refund everybody that pre-ordered the game, and change it to a free-to-play model, which I think would help it quite a bit, especially if it's struggling to get any buzz at this point. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it looked like it could be fun, to be honest. It didn't look like amazing, but some of the like a bit special abilities you were doing, I was like, oh, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, I was enjoying myself.
I was kind of pulling for it, but we'll see. There's a lot of stories and crazy things that could be changed or happen with this one in the little bit it's got before release. I think it comes out in August though.
Oh, pretty soon.
So I don't know how much they could change. I mean, they could probably make it free to play pretty quickly, and then they just have to like retweak the microtransactions to make them a little more aggressive probably, but I don't know. That's probably much bigger of a undertaking than I realized. But anyways, just wanted to pop in with some notes there about Concord. So I'm glad you were able to try that before it ended.
Yeah, overall, I had fun, and it could be good. We will see.
Yeah.
All right, let me make sure I'm on the right thing here. Made of Scare.
Yeah, sorry, I got you all out of order. I think it's that one.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay. So I played one of the free to play games on Epic Games called Made of Scare, MAID of SKER. It's not MADE of SCARE. Very weird. The game introduces you to the villain or the villains or the scary part of the game very early. And it's basically just old men with paper bags on their heads. And they just walk around the whole time in a PlayStation 1 style rotation. They're just going to go where they go. And then you have to like slither between their paths that never change. I mean, there were a couple puzzles. There was one puzzle that was pretty funny. It was just a bunch of beer taps. And I had to find one beer tap handle, and I put it in, and I was like, I'm just going to see if I can brute force this by just guessing the order that you're supposed to pull them in. And I got it in like 6 tries. I was like, no way. And it opened some staircase. I'm sure you had to find like a piece of lore to really know the order of them, but that was funny. I went in circles about 4 different times in this game, not really knowing what to do, even though they had a map system, which was decent. Overall, though, I gave this game like a 4 out of 10. I got pretty bored with it pretty quick and didn't play much of it at all.
Yeah. Yeah, that was kind of my vibe. I was like, ugh, I think it looked pretty awful.
Yeah, your comment was like, this game is foggy. Look at it.
It is. Look how foggy it is.
It's like the brightness is overamped so much. Yeah, it's just, that's all we need to say about that game. Kind of a trash game. I wish it was better because I love horror games, but most horror games suck, sadly. So
yeah, that is a bummer.
And what was I playing? Oh, we were playing. Okay, I like this game. we were been playing Marvel's Spider-Man 2, not to get mixed up with Spider-Man 2. There's a lot of Spider-Man games, and it's hard to pinpoint which one you're talking about based on the title.
Yeah.
But this game is fantastic. I can't even believe it. Graphics are phenomenal. The variety in the gameplay is phenomenal. You will go from swinging through the city to walking on the ground to doing puzzles of molecules to going to a museum to fighting with the other Spider-Man to fighting solo. I was a drone at one point, like a spider drone walking on the ground. I'm sure there's many more examples of how the game differs. But man, the movement is fantastic. We really focused on upgrading traversal first so that the movement could get much better. Let me see if I can get to a point where we're a little further along and have cooler outfits. But I don't have any negative things to say about this game. You can play it however you want. There's a variety in the combat. You can be sneaky or just go punch everything. Fantastic game. You played it.
I did. It's very good. I really liked it as well. It definitely feels like there's some cool changes from the first one. Like you said, you can switch like between Miles and Peter, I think almost whenever you want to. At least when you're out in the city, there's sometimes you have to be a specific one for a mission. But I really like Harry, and like his story with the symbiote is awesome. I mean, I don't think it's any spoilers. Venom is in this game. He's awesome. He's my favorite Star Wars. My favorite. He's my favorite Spider-Man villain by far. And so I don't know. This game was just like kind of perfect for me. And it is cool. Like you said, you can play it however you want. Like I kind of mainlined the story and didn't do a lot of the side stuff, which I'm a little bummed about because there are some cool side stories. Like you saw Wraith, who was Yuri, the like police detective from the first game. I didn't even see her once, so I must have missed that side story. And it seemed like that was kind of a sequence of side stories, and you can kind of follow that story. There's also another symbiote character that I really enjoy in the game that I didn't see him either because I didn't do much of the side stuff. I just kind of was like, I was having so much fun with like Harry and Peter and Miles' stories that I kind of mainlined it. But yeah, if you want to like go full out, you can get crazy outfits. You can do like all the open world stuff. The city's really cool. I love this new mechanism where you can create your own little what are they called? Web lines wherever you want. So you're not just like kind of limited to standing on like a power line or something. It's like, no, I've got webs. I can make my own line wherever I want. I thought that was a cool feature. And like you said, the traversal is just awesome. Just like half the time I'd forget where I was going and just be swinging for like 5-10 minutes because it's just so fun.
It is. It feels so good.
Yeah, game's excellent. And it has some cool story moments. Some things I didn't think were going to happened. I don't know that it, like story-wise, that it's incredibly better than the first one. Because the first one had a really cool story as well, but I think it, like, as far as like feature set, is a little bigger than the first one, and the story's just as good. And I like Venom more than Doc Ock, who was in the first one, so I was like a little more excited about it. Super cool game. I'm glad you're liking it.
Oh, it's so cool. And there's so many settings. I went through all the settings multiple times, and you've got like swinging assistance, and if you turn that all the way off, you could just splat on the ground. Like if you decide to web swing too late, just don't.
Yep.
I turned that to the middle, so it wouldn't assist me so much where it felt like I was like auto aiming.
Right.
But I mean, look at these suits. They're unreal.
Super cool. You have like 7 different skill trees for gadgets and Miles's stuff, and then Peter's stuff and shared stuff. And each suit usually has like 4 different colors too. Like there's just so much. Game's really cool.
It's definitely a next gen game.
Man, they make cool games. Oh yeah, for sure.
You can sense it in every aspect of the game. Like every area you go to, the amount of settings that were in the settings was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
The surround sound options and the variations of just audio, I've never seen so many in a game in my life.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, Insomniac, man, they make really good stuff. Ratchet and Clank, and then this So Spider-Man and then Miles Morales and then Spider-Man 2. They had like a leak at their studio like last year, or maybe early this year. And we already know because they had announced this one, but they're making a Wolverine game with Marvel, which could be cool. I mean, Spider-Man's such a hard video game to beat in a superhero setting because he's so fun to move around. Like even the Batman games, which I think might be better, like story-wise, than these. Batman's just not quite as fun to move around. He can still glide, and he's got his Batmobile in one of them, but Spider-Man's so fun to move around. So I don't know what Wolverine will move around like. I think from that leak, it was also shown that they're making a standalone Venom game, which would be very cool too.
Oh yeah.
So I don't. Even though I'm bummed that they're going to be making Marvel stuff for like ever, they make such good stuff. And Spider-Man is probably my favorite Marvel property, anyways. So I'm like, okay, I'm okay with it. Cool. Well, I'm glad you're enjoying that. You got some fun stuff. The game gets surprisingly dark at a few points. I'm like, wow. So I think you'll like it.
I'm excited. Let's see. Is this the one I'm on? It is. Okay. I'm going to let you talk about Fez. I will be back in 1 minute. Does that work?
Okay. Love it. It does. So yeah, this week I downloaded Fez. I've been really, really into puzzle games lately, as I think that everyone that's been listening to this show knows. I mean, with Animal Well, and God, I don't even remember what else I was playing alongside Animal Well. But I was playing Baba Is You, and a couple others even, I think. And I was been thinking about Fez mainly because in Animal Well you can accidentally, at one point I pushed a button and the little frog dude you are in Animal Well like pulled out a Fez and put it on. I was like, what, is he supposed to be Fez? And I've played Fez once before, but it was, I think when it like almost first came out, it was forever ago. So I like barely remembered anything about it, and I don't think I even finished it then. The only thing I remembered was that you can do this kind of rotation of the world. So it's basically like it's a 2D game, but you have to imagine each room as if it's kind of, I don't even know how to explain it, like a cube. So you're playing on one side of the cube, and then you can press a trigger to rotate the entire room, like one rotation to the left or right on that cube. And then your character, which changes the perspective drastically, and then your character like stays where he was on the new side that's showing. And so you can use that perspective change for a lot of cool different puzzles about, I was on the very left side of this first side of the cube, kind of the screen, but I need to be on this ladder over here. So if I like jump and then rotate it, you can do that. And that's the main kind of puzzle part of Fez. And man, I forgot how wonderful this game is.
Game looks amazing.
It's so good. It came out in 2013, and I had played through it once before, but I don't think I had fully finished it. And it's so good. I saw a video on YouTube like a week or two ago that said the best genre of games right now is one that doesn't have a name, and I think we should call it Metroid Brainia. And
that is right up your alley.
Yeah, it's a kind of a game where you are unlocking new places and new things in the world, but not by just getting double jumps and stuff. It's by you getting smarter with the game. And Fez is awesome. You're basically just going through all of these rooms trying to collect these cubes, and you can rotate the room with the triggers kind of to the right or left. Oh. And when you rotate them, the perspective changes because everything rotates. And it's so good. Fez is amazing. If anyone here has not played Fez, it was free on the Epic Game Store a few months ago, so I just had it in my Epic Game Store account, so I'm just playing it again on my Rogue Ally, which I love. And it's incredible. It is absolutely amazing. I'm really bummed that the guy that made it, I think his name was Phil Fish. I don't even know what the full controversy was with him, but I think he was kind of a jerk, and I think he was going to make Fez 2, but everyone was like, why are you such a jerk? And anyway, so I think he kind of left game development. But man, it's so great. I can't even say enough good about it. It's amazing. It's colorful. The music is also incredible. I think it was one of the first games that this musician ever did. I think their name is Disaster Piece, and it's kind of like techno-y music. Music is so good in Fez. And I've known that for a long time. I have a video game music Spotify playlist, and a few songs from the Fez soundtrack are in there, with like Tunic and Crypt of the Necro Dancer, and there's some other lots of indie games have really awesome music, and Disaster Piece does a lot of them. He does great music. Fez is amazing. If you haven't played Fez, anyone listening, just continuing my puzzle game obsession. I think I finished the main story. Like a lot of these Metroid Brainia games, you have like the main ending, and then something drastically changes, and you can go after like the much, much, much more difficult like hidden secrets. And I'm at that point where the percentage bar shows I think I'm at 107% completed. I think it goes all the way to 210 or something. So there is technically a lot more I could do. And I won't spoil kind of what that big shift is, because when I got it, I was like, what? Like such a huge change that I don't even know how to explain it. I mean, I could explain it, but that's such a big reveal in this game that I don't want to spoil that. But yeah, Fez is amazing. Just so much done with just that one main idea of what if we were playing Mario and all of a sudden, or Zelda 2D, and you could just rotate the entire world. And such cool game design in that.
It reminds me of that game
awesome.
That's coming out where you are watching your character like this on a platformer, but also on a screen in the game. What game was that?
Yeah. It's called like Viewpoints, or I had some name like that, but I don't think that was the name. But yeah, kind of a very novel, kind of a unique hook like that for sure. Oh man, Fizz is so good. I think I got to the point I'm at 5 hours, so it's not even very long either. So I really think that everyone on Earth should play this game. It's so good. I think Animal Well's like vibe is a little cooler, but and Fez is like so colorful and happy like the whole time too, and it's great. Love Fez. Can't say enough good about it. And I already mentioned earlier in the show that I bought Path of the Teal Lotus, or whatever it's called, the Metroidvania game, and I've already got it installed on my Ally, so that's going to be the next thing I play. That or Gravity Circuit, which is supposed to be great as well. It's kind of like it's a 2D kind of like Mega Man like game, kind of like Bat Boy, which is also amazing. Everyone should play Bat Boy. But yeah, Gravity Circuit and Path of the Teal Lotus, I think, are next up for me. Just one more call out here. Everyone play Fez. Even if you don't have it, you can probably get it on a Steam sale for like $2 next time it's on there, because it's so old at this point. Yeah, Fez is great. All right, that's all the video games I was able to play this week, though. So, any other thing you want to mention in video games, Devin?
I don't think so. Just trying to get this error off my screen.
Oh, fun. Love errors, especially mid-episode. That's not stressful at all.
Click yes button to keep streaming recording. Yes, sir. This has happened before.
Cool. I think I remember, yeah. We'll be good. All right. Well, for board games this week, I was only able to play one. It's one I've been excited to play, though. So I was pretty pumped by it. For the game I played this week is Apiary from Stonemaier Games. This is one of their most recent ones, I think. I got it for Christmas this year, but I hadn't been able to get it played yet. And it's a worker placement game where you play as a different faction of bees after long since humankind has perished and the bees have evolved, I guess. And you have your own little like bee spaceship. Where are they? Down here. And you're building new segments of your spaceship, keeping resources like pollen and nectar and water in your spaceship and converting them into wax and honey. How the game works, it's a worker placement game where You have a bunch of these bees, and they are your workers, but they are also 4-sided, and they have the numbers 1 through 4 on the different sides. So how it works is some worker placement games, when I put my worker somewhere, I have now blocked that spot, and you can't go there. That's one of the main kind of points of interaction in a worker placement game, until everyone pulls their workers back, maybe at the end of a round, and then you could go there next round. In this game, you can always go anywhere. If you go somewhere that someone is, you bump their bee back to their kind of active board, and their bee levels up to the next level. So you want to get bumped because your bee gets stronger. And eventually your bee gets to level 4. If you put a level 4 bee out on the board, you get to do like some ultra powerful ability at that area. And then that bee dies. And so it goes into like the eternal sleep, hibernation. And then you can grow some new baby bees that are level 1. So your bees are constantly like zipping onto the board and getting kicked back and getting stronger and then zipping onto the board. Based on the strength of the bee that you place somewhere, you get to do, like if I put a level 3 bee somewhere, I might get to do 3 actions at that spot. And yeah, so it's kind of a worker placement game where you're okay if somebody goes to the same spot as you because it's helping you out as well. And you're building out your ship, converting resources, all in the goal of getting the most points. I thought it was really fun. That positive interaction with the worker placement, where like I'm not too mad if somebody went to a spot I want to because I can still go there. It's a good feeling. Sometimes worker placement games can get pretty mean where I'm just putting something here because I know you want it, even though it doesn't really help me. It just helps me the most to hurt you, and that can be kind of mean. So kind of cool there's a positive spin on it. As like a little downside to the game, and this I don't think is Apiary's fault necessarily. I think it's David's fault. Euro games like this, I don't think are best at their full player count generally. This game I played was with 5. So we played first game ever of Apiary where I had to teach the game as well at 5 players. So we were playing for 3 hours if you include the teach. So it was like 2.5. That's a long time for like a first play of a game, especially when the game says 60 to 90 minutes on the box. So it's meant to be a shorter experience. And I think at 60 to 90 minutes, it's like really great, really killer. But at 2.5 hours, it was too long. And so I'm trying to like figure out in my head, like, do I just, for Euro games like these, do I just always play with 3 or 4? Like, or 2, 3 or 4? Do I just never like push them to their 5 or 6 limit? There are even some games that 4 probably is too much. And it might depend on the game a little bit. But that's kind of a tricky thing for me, especially with this game group that I have. Like we sometimes only have a few, like 2, 3 or 4 people that come, but then sometimes it's like 5, 6 or 7. And so I'm like, do we split in 2 groups? And then I have to teach 2 games? Or do we just play 1 with the full player count and it might be kind of long? But I don't know. Apiary, it was really good. I think I will keep it at least to this point. Worker placement is such a popular genre that I don't know if like it'll be a forever game in that genre for me, but I did like my first play of Apiary, and the art by, I think his name is Kwanchai Moria. It might even be a her. I don't know much about this person, but they have very pretty artwork. I think that they also did one of the playmats for All Plays Kickstarter page that's going on right now. So very famous artist in the board game space as well. So very pretty game. The pieces are really cool. Those bees that kind of get stronger in level are very awesome. So some cool ideas. I like how it played, kind of the engine building. You get stronger and feel more capable towards the end of the game. So it's a good time. I would recommend Apiary, but probably play it with 3. I think 3 would be. And there are 2 different sides to the board, the 1 to 3 player side and I think 4 and 5 player side. So you'd play on a smaller side of the board, so it'd still feel tight and that you're bumping each other quite often, even at 3. So that might be the best player count for Apiary. But I am glad that I got it played. Yeah, this company, Stonemeyer, they make cool stuff. They are the Wingspan company, the game with the really cool bird eggs and the kind of bird feeder that you drop the dice down, the dice tower. They go pretty all out with their pieces too. So gotta appreciate that. The only thing I wish that was a little bit different, there is wax and honey, which look really cool in the game. They're kind of the upper resources that you have to work hard to like convert your water and fiber. And what's the third one I'm forgetting? And whatever the other main resource is into wax and honey. For some reason, they're both gold. There might be like a very slight change. I wish they had made the wax like a different color. Because luckily they're wooden, so the shapes are different, so you can pretty much always tell. But you're like, oh, I need a gold piece, and you reach over and you're like, that's not the right gold piece. That was maybe a dumb decision, but water was the other one. So, anyways, Apiary is pretty solid. Want to play it a few more times, but it's a fun game. You have lots of options. You could really focus on just building out your spaceship, or really focus on getting a whole bunch of those seed cards. Yeah, I think it's a pretty solid design there. So that was it for me. Got some a bunch of board games I haven't been able to play yet. So, and I have game night tomorrow, so lots more to play and to report on next week. But that was the game as I was able to play this last week. All right, that's it for what we've been playing. There's a little bit of news this week. We'll try to go kind of quickly so we're not here too long. First up, a couple of months ago, we reported that IGN, actually IGN's parent company, Ziff Davis, had purchased a few different board game and video game websites. They purchased Dicebreaker, which is a really good board game website, and Humble, which publishes indie games and has their Humble bundle, along with some other companies. It seems that this was kind of a monopolistic play to remove some competition, because Dicebreaker has essentially been gutted and hasn't put up an article since that day. And there was news just yesterday that Humble has let go of their entire team, at least the Humble Games team, which included 36 staff. After this kind of came out, and you can see here Devin's showing a list of games they've published, which I had actually already purchased. Bo, that game we were just talking about, which what they published. They've published some other really good ones. Temtem, Unpacking. I really liked Signalis, and Slay the Spire is on there. Kind of indie games, but they're generally high quality indie games. On Twitter, shortly after it started to leak that this was happening, they said, quote, this is Humble, "In these challenging economic times for indie game publishing, Humble Games has made the difficult but necessary decision to restructure our operations. This decision was not made lightly. It involved much deliberation and careful thought, with the goal of ensuring the stability and support of our developers and ongoing projects. Additionally, the restructuring of operations at Humble Games will have no impact on operations at Humble Bundle. We are acutely aware of the profound impact this decision has on our team members at Humble Games and deeply empathize with everyone affected." They continued a little bit on some empathy stuff, but I'm going to end there. It seemed like, calling a mass layoff of all of their employees a restructuring is kind of a dumb thing to say. But in some additional reporting, this video game journalist reporter named Nathan Grayson, who writes for Aftermath, interviewed some of Humble's employees, who were now not their employees since they had just been let go. And some of them told him some other stuff. Quote, Ziff Davis, is trying to spread the idea that it's a restructuring to save face, but that's a lie. One former Humble Games employee, who was granted anonymity to avoid potentially voiding a severance agreement, told Aftermath. So that was a quote from Aftermath. Continuing that quote, "No one from Humble Games survived the layoffs, nor will they have anything to do with game launches moving forward." Chris Radley, a former Humble Games creative lead who left the company at the end of 2022, spelled things out even more clearly on LinkedIn, says Nathan Grayson. Quote, "Operations have been handed off to a third-party consultancy. No staff are left. Do not believe this tailored message written by the parent company of Humble Games, Ziff Davis, who are trying to mitigate pushback. This was once again a failure of leadership across the board, and once again hard-working, talented staff are paying the cost for their poor decisions. Every ex-employee is being gaslit by this narrative, and it's so disrespectful. End quote. Anyways, this is a bummer. I feel like Humble Games has been doing good stuff. It sounds like they might continue in some other fashion if they like hire some other people, or it sounds like this third-party company is going to kind of handle some of it. But not a lot really to say here. Just wanted to give it a call out since it's been a big news item. It's a bummer when anyone loses their jobs, especially when Humble, I feel like, is such a kind of a mainstay in the video game like industry. You've got the monthly Humble bundle, and Humble's always publishing new indie games, so I think it just kind of speaks to the difficulty of indie game publishers right now to stand out and sell copies when everyone wants to play Neverness to Everness and Genshin, which are free, and nobody wants to pay $15 for a bow. So anyways, just a little story there that I thought was a bummer. A couple more short ones. Warner Brothers has purchased the development team responsible for Multiversus. The dev team's name is Player First Games, and I guess that makes sense from some rumblings that I've heard through the grapevine. That game has performed pretty well as far as like player counts, and I think we were talking about it a little bit before the show, Devin. Like even though it seems weird to see like Gandalf fighting Bugs Bunny, I like the kind of cartoon art style that it has, and I like a lot of Warner Brothers characters. So Batman punching Beetlejuice in the face might be kind of funny to see. So a really quick one there. Last week, Devin, we talked about Apex Legends. I think it was last week, maybe the week before. And that they were making a change to their Battle Pass system. There was going to be 2 different Battle Passes, and that you could no longer purchase the Battle Pass with Apex coins. And EA has reversed that decision due to a bunch of backlash, which is good. This is a story of the backlash on the internet sometimes being good to change bad decisions from happening. EA said, quote, "You've spoken and we've listened. With the release of Season 22, we will restore the ability to get the premium Battle Pass for 950 Apex coins. We recognize that we could have handled the Battle Pass change better. That's on us." End of quote. So, really quick one there. If you play Apex Legends, that's probably a big win for that community, I would imagine. And then last in video game news, just a kind of thing I thought was kind of funny here in random stuff. Halo has gotten a Game Boy Color demake by a solo developer named, well, at least on itch, his name is Sofa Swordsman. He has demade the first 2 levels. I think those levels are called like, I can't remember the first name. The name of the first level, but the name of the second level is Halo when you first land on the Halo. And it looks really funny. I really like Game Boy Color and Game Boy Advance games, so it's kind of a fun idea. He intends to keep working and finish the game. And you can play it for free. You can download the package, like play it on like an emulator or on a Game Boy. Or you can actually play it right in a browser. If you go to his itch page, again, that's Sofa Swordsman. He has a link where you can play it right in a web browser. That's kind of funny. Thought that was a cool little thing. He has little mini games for the sniping and stuff. It's kind of clever. Some people are a lot cooler than me. And again, a free game, he's not charging anything for it. I don't know how people are so altruistic. Where I'm like, yeah, I'll sell that for $3, you know? I don't know. People are cool. All right, board game news. Just a couple things as well. First up, a really cool report from Board Game Wire. They do excellent work over there, so I want to give them a lot of props. They wrote an article about FunForge, and I guess they have been in a lot of financial trouble since like late 2020, early 2021, it seems. They had a successful campaign for Monumental on Kickstarter. That's what Devin is showing. And I think it was actually a reprinting of this game. So a big kind of Kickstarter campaign that had like 4,200 backers. So they made quite a bit of money. But then some delays happened and COVID was like affecting shipping like crazy right then. And so because of large increases in shipping costs that they weren't expecting, this company FunForge had to pay out $250,000 more than they anticipated to get their games made and shipped out of China. And that extra money they had to pay kind of put them in a rough spot. So the games were shipped from China, and then usually what happens is they will be shipped to fulfillment centers in like the different regions. So there will be a fulfillment center in America, a fulfillment center in Europe, and then from there they'll like package the games in like the cardboard boxes and ship them to the backers in that country. So these games have been, I don't know if all of them or just a majority of them have been stuck in those fulfillment centers for like a couple of years because FunForge didn't have the money to pay for them to be shipped from those centers. And yeah, FunForge kind of had a lot of trouble. They had to let go of half of their team. It was an 8-person team, so they had to let go of 4 people just to stay afloat. And Board Game Wire was able to get a hold of FunForge's CEO, and he told them in an email this, quote, "Fortunately, we found a solution through an important contract that should be signed in the weeks to come to solve most of our financial issues and therefore to be able to deliver almost all of the remaining games." End quote. Like 6-7 months earlier, the same CEO had told the same website that they were going to provide an update to their backers in May, and they never did that. So he followed up on that a little bit with the next portion of his quote. He said, quote, "Yes, I said there would be an update in May, and no, we haven't posted it. That's the truth, and the reason why is that the company has been facing a lot of financial challenges for several months, notably because of the loss of money suffered by the Monumental campaign." End of quote. Anyways, really cool article that Board Game Wire wrote. I hope that this means everyone will get their games. This is kind of the downside of a Kickstarter, right? If you're the consumer, you're bummed that you didn't get your game. And at this point, if you do get it, it's going to be like 3 years late. And you wouldn't think that this would happen from FunForge because they're kind of a bigger deal in board games. They've made quite a few games. I have quite a few of their games. So it's not like this is just like a one-man shop. It's their first time doing this. But just because of something that they couldn't see, they got really struck with just extra costs they had to pay that put them in a tough spot and couldn't get the games out. Crazy story. I hope that everyone gets their Monumental game, and this contract that they were able to sign will help FunForge to clean it up a bit for their next games that they have. So I thought that was a cool story. Just wanted to call it out. And then second, the winners of the most influential and important board game awards of the year, the Spiel des Jahres, have been announced. So there are 3 different categories. The first category is the coveted Spiel des Jahres. This is the family level kind of weight game. The 3 nominees were In the Footsteps of Darwin, Captain Flip, and Sky Team. And Sky Team won that one. It's a cooperative 2-player game. I got it just recently, actually. Devin and I are going to play it sometime soon. I think it'll be a really fun one for content on the channel. So Sky Team won that one, which is the most important of the 3 awards. But next up is the Kennerspiel des Jahres. This is like the connoisseur's game, the hobby game, more complicated expert game. The 3 nominees were Daybreak, Guild of Merchant Explorers, and Ticket to Ride Legacy. And the winner of this one was Daybreak, which is also a cooperative game from Matt Leacock, who did Pandemic. This is about like lowering carbon emissions, I think. So 2 co-op games, which is kind of crazy. Kind of going back to the number of co-op games that we mentioned during the announcements segment. I am not usually a fan of co-op games, so I'm really generally surprised that they continue to just be so popular. But I know a lot of people even in my neighborhood that really like them, so I think I'm just kind of in the minority there. And then the Kinderspiel des Jahres, which is the kind of kid level games. The nominees were Big Little Gems, The Magic Keys, and Taco Cat Pizza Jr., and the winner was The Magic Keys. I don't really know much about those 3 games, but wanted to give those games their shout out. That's a big deal to win those. You'll sell hundreds of thousands more copies generally. I think a few publishers have come out and said that it was a big deal for their ongoing sales. And in the board game world, like hundreds of thousands is the equivalent in the video game world of millions more. They just sell on a smaller scale, so that's a big deal. And then another set of awards. This is Board Game Revolution, which, if I'm understanding correctly, is just a pretty large Facebook community. That's like 80,000 people in this Facebook group, and they do their own kind of voting on what they thought the games of the year were. And so their 2023 Meeple Choice Awards came out today. They give a few months for like everyone to play the game, so that's why the 2023 awards are coming out in July of 2024. But they had a lot of different categories. The game of the year had 3 games. Second place, it's not second place. They do bronze, which was Earth, really great game. Silver is Voidfall, game I'd like to play, but it's too big and expensive. And their game of the year was Hegemony, which is very interesting. That's which I guess makes sense for a group like this, which is opt-in to a board game Facebook group. This is people that are really into board games, right? Hegemony is incredibly complicated. It's like a 4.3 on the board game weight scale. Very long. I think it's like 90 to 180 minutes is what it says on Board Game Geek. And so you're probably looking at, like, with a full 4 people, you're looking at 3-4 hours. It's supposed to be great, but it's very intimidating to me. Anyway, so that was their game of the year. They have a whole bunch of other categories I just want to read through real quick. For easygoing game, World Wonders, Star Wars deck building game, and then the winner was Forest Shuffle. Forest Shuffle is really great. I have that one. Best solo game, Deliverance, Sleeping Gods Distant Sky, and then Voidfall was the winner. Sweet Spot is Distilled, The White Castle, which is great. Love The White Castle, and Earth was the winner. Thematic game, Thunder Road Vendetta, The Witcher, Old World, and Sky Team. Again, Sky Team getting a lot of buzz recently. Brain Burner, Nucleum, Europa Universalis, The Price of ... I don't know what the end of that game is. And Voidfall is the winner. Hidden Gem, Divinity Original Sin, Dutch Resistance, Orange something. I can't tell what the end of that game picture says. And the winner is Nova Roma. Best Remakes, Raw Deluxe Edition, which I do want to get. It's supposed to be great. Dune Imperium Uprising, and Castles of Burgundy was the winner there. Best Expansion, got Canvas Finishing Touches, Lost Ruins Missing, ... and Ark Nova Marine, which is supposed to be really good. I have Ark Nova behind me as well. Haven't got that one played physically, but I have played it once on Board Game Arena. All right, and then box cover art, Voidfall, Barcelona, and Earth as the winner. So they had a lot of categories, but wanted to give those a shout out since that's a pretty big community for the Meeple's Choice Awards for Board Game Revolution. All right, last category here, Devin. Category's not the right thing. Last segment is crowdfunding corner. We've got 6 games that we're going to go over this week that are ending in the next like 10 days-ish. First up is a game called Monster Kill. This is a print and play game, so you can just pay a few dollars. I can't remember if it was like $5 or something, and just get the digital files. And it looks like it's kind of a dungeon crawl, boss battler is not the right word, but combat game where you are using dice to fight monsters, kind of Gloomhaven style, on these hex grids, and you're tracking everything there on your player sheets. Looks a little intense, to be honest. I think you also get the STL files for the miniatures that they're showing, so that you could 3D print them yourself if you wanted. Click out of this video really quick, Devin. I just want to see if they do have a boxed version, or if they're only selling a print and play version. If you put your mouse where support is and then scroll, it should show the rewards. The core print and play, all in print and play. Yeah, it's just all print and play. You can get their entire game collection. This one's doing pretty well. It's got like $9,000 I guess that's euros backed, but when their goal was, what was that, 215 or something, then
Yeah.
they're doing okay over there. So if you like print and play games and you like games like Gloomhaven, this might be one that you would like. That is Monster Kill. It ends on August 1st, so about 7 days there. Next up is a game called Aces and Armor. This is kind of a shorter war game that can be played cooperatively, solo, or competitively. And I thought the cool things about this one, well, there's a few. First, it's supposed to be shorter, easier to learn, and easier to play than most like big war games, which is good. I think it's like 90 to 120 minutes, where a lot of war games can be in like the 4, 5, 6 hour range. So this is much more like David kind of time frame for sure. Even though they look kind of silly, those little damage trackers right there that you can like upgrade your units with experience and then with your damage there, kind of a nice visual way to keep track of the board state, which I imagine in a war game can be a little tricky. So like, okay, I look over here and I see 15 units, but like how much damage is done to them? Do I need to look at a different board to track that? So kind of cool. You can just track it on these little knobs. You slide these kind of round perler looking pieces that track the damage and experience. So that was another thing that I thought looked pretty cool. And then I think the last thing, shipping is included in the pledge cost, and I think worldwide. So some cool things going for it. It's not incredibly expensive, which a lot of Kickstarters are nowadays. So if you like games kind of in this genre, this one could be a hit for you. I think this company made one before it. If you scroll down a little bit more, Devin. It's right there. Differences from Trench Club in that category there on the left. And I think Trench Club was the game they made before this one, but it was quite a bit longer and more complex. So they tried to take the best parts of Trench Club, put it in a shorter, simpler game. There's a lot of minis, and I think a double-sided board, or maybe even 2 double-sided boards, and different factions you can play as, kind of reenacting World War II battles. So, anyways, cool little campaign there for Aces and Armor. That one also ends on August 1st. Okay, next up is Zoo Tycoon New Shores. This is an expansion to the Zoo Tycoon game that came out a couple years ago, and a reprinting of that game. I think the artwork of this game looks cool, and I loved like Roller Coaster Tycoon, so them actually getting like the Zoo Tycoon license is pretty cool. This game is, it's tricky for me to know. It has a lot of pieces. It's supposed to be pretty complex. And I think in like the all-in pledge, it has 460 animal meeples, which is a little ridiculous, but cool. But I've heard that the game, like the rulebook, isn't good. The game's really long. It says 2 to 3 hours on the time frame there. So I don't know. I know that the Dice Tower didn't really like the original, so I hope that they've cleaned up some of the issues there. Maybe made like I don't know if this is like a second edition or if it's just a straight reprint. If it's a second edition, I hope they've redone the rulebook a little bit, maybe cleaned up a couple of things so that it can be a more solid of a game that deserves an expansion as opposed to a kind of just kind of a mess. But I think visually it looks really cool. There's a lot of pieces in those boxes, but big, expensive boxes with expensive shipping. So this one's not I don't think one for David, even though I think visually it looks cooler than Arc Nova. I got Arc Nova on not used. I got it sealed, but on a Facebook group for board game exchanges for like $40, where this would be like $250 if I wanted the whole game. But it does look really cool with those like animal meeples and stuff. So want to give it a shout out visually, but I don't know gameplay wise how it fares. So that is Zoo Tycoon New Shores. Okay, next up is one called Catacombs, and this is kind of a dungeon crawl, but it's played by flicking your hero discs, and it's supposed to be great. Dice Tower loved it. Shut Up and Sit Down, love it. And this is a new expansion called Fortress of Nazemore and a reprinting of the original game. I think it looks really fun. You kind of have this kind of cardboard fence that you put up around the playmat so that if you like overshoot, they're not flying off the table. But yeah, you flick your discs to kill the monsters and stuff. I don't know much more about it other than it's supposed to be great, and that's a very unique kind of thing. I feel like I like Crokinole because it's more like a sport in that way, where like I've got a defined set of rules. Like, how am I going to? Maybe they have a really elegant way of solving this problem, but if I like barely nick the boss, does that count as it's dead, or is that like half a hit of damage? Like, I don't know. It seems like a game that's trying to be a dungeon crawl like that would have some weird rules exceptions for playing it by flicking, but I'm not sure. It's big, kind of pricey. Shipping's kind of pricey, but again, it's supposed to be really, really great. So that is Catacombs with the new expansion, Fortress of Nazemore, and you can get all kinds of like add-ons, metal coins, and which I do love. I love me some metal coins. So check that one out. That ends on August 2nd. All right, next up is I think the 4th version of a board game that is very old. I think it came out like the game I think came out like 30 something years ago, but it's Labyrinth the board game, and it's like to coincide with the 40th anniversary of the movie. I don't know that the game is supposed to be that amazing, so I don't know why it continues to get reprinted, but there's probably some niche audience because I think that movie kind of has a cult following. So people that got the board game around then, it probably has kind of a cult following as well. This is like a huge version of the game. That box is almost a cube because it's so tall.
It's very tall.
So if you've got a lot of space, that would like take up one of my entire Calyx cubes. And some really big pieces. So yeah, I don't know if you've played this game when you were younger and wanted a new, bigger, heavier, more expensive version, then this might be for you. I'll probably watch the movie once a decade, and that'll be enough for me. But I do like that movie. It's silly and weird, but it's pretty fun. So, anyways, that is Labyrinth, the board game. All right, and then last up is Burgle Brothers 3. This is probably Fowers Games' most popular game, Burgle Brothers. And this is the 3rd version. It's a cooperative game where you play as a group like Ocean's 11, kind of like heist group, and you're trying to break in, at least in the original, there are 3 different floors of this, I think, bank or building you're trying to rob, and you have to, on each floor, you have to kind of deactivate the security, open the vault, and get the treasure, and then escape before you are found by the security guards that are wandering around each floor of the building too. It's a pretty fun co-op game because each player gets their own like special character with an ability, and each player takes their own turn. You might be on different floors from each other, but you kind of like help a little bit. I have the first one, Burgle Brothers, and I think it's pretty cool. I need to play it again. It's been quite a few years, but for like a slightly more complex than introductory co-op game, it's a pretty good time. It feels good to win together because it's pretty difficult in my opinion. This 3rd one is like in the future. The setting is it's like a little bit futuristic, and I think the main gameplay difference is you can like put on different disguises that might have some special abilities or help you like sneak past the what are they called, the security guards. So it also has like you can get the 1st and 2nd version. It has some weird virtual reality like little mini game that you can get as well, but I think most people are there just for Burgle Brothers 3. So yeah, that one's called Burgle Brothers 3 Future Flip. All right, Devin, that is all for Crowdfunding Corner this week. Which of those games would be Devin's pick of the week?
Devin's pick of the week is probably Catacombs, Fortress of Nazamor.
Yeah, I think that
the
one's
flicking
really cool.
game.
Mm-hmm. I like the big.
Yeah, it looks unique.
I like the artwork. It's like a fantasy, but kind of drawn with like jagged lines, and yeah, cool looking game. Mine will probably be Burgle Brothers. I think that's a pretty.
That was my second.
Tried and true, kind of tested series of games. So as long as they don't really mess anything up, I think that one will be a hit with people. It's a lot of people like that co-op game. Okay, that's going to do it for Crowdfunding Corner this week. In closing, Devin, we've been here a long time since we took like an hour at the beginning, just chit-chatting.
Oh, man, yeah.
So the last thing I just wanted to ask you real quick, there's a lot of horror movies coming out right now. I know you just went and saw Long Legs. There's another one that just, I think, came out called Oddity that a lot of people have been raving about. So I wanted to just get your opinion really quick on what your favorite horror games have been. Because I think horror movies are hard to do well, hard to be like surprising or to like be of high quality because there's a lot of like garbage. And I think horror games definitely fall into the same boat. We just talked about Made of Skur that you played this week and how kind of awful that was. But I do think there are a few that kind of rise above. So without any thought, since I just kind of threw this question in last minute, do you have any horror games that stand out to you?
The entire Resident Evil franchise, for sure. Some people would say those aren't really horror. Like, I don't know. I think that they're kind of horror. Like number 7, Biohazard, is kind of scary.
Yeah, for sure. And I think they were like each for their time. Like when the first one came out, like, yeah, it wasn't first person. It was kind of top down and weird. But I imagine at that point in like 1993 or whenever it came out, everyone was like, holy crap, this is the scariest thing ever, because they'd never played anything like it before. So
right.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
I agree.
Resident Evil, I actually don't know how much I've dabbled in the Silent Hill video games, but I've watched some of the movies. I'm a big fan of how weird it is. It's a bunch of nonsense. Doesn't make much sense at all. It reminds me of the weirdness of that old movie called, what was it, Sucker Punch? Do you remember that? I think it's called Sucker Punch.
Yeah, very like gray. Is everything like gray?
Yeah, and these like girls are like fighting monsters or something. But I love the weirdness of Silent Hill. Yeah, this was Sucker Punch.
Yeah, yep, I do remember.
You just go into like a whole new world that doesn't have to make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And so I love Silent Hill, love Resident Evil. Visage is probably one of my favorite horror games I've ever played. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Visage, I don't know.
I'm curious. I didn't get to watch much of that game when you played it. What was the thing you liked about it the most? Just that it was the scariest of most of the games you played, or
it was pretty scary,
or was like the story really good? Like, what were the things you liked about it? Just curious.
So you kind of start in this main house. You get to explore the kitchen, the basement. There's a ton of secrets throughout this main area that you're in. You get to go in the garage, open the car. There's an attic. There's a living room, and so many different areas with different things going on. And what I liked about the game is it was eerie the entire time, but they weren't trying to throw so many jump scares at you that they just became expected. I'd be wandering for an hour and a half and just walk out of the bathroom not finding anything, because to progress the game was sometimes difficult to figure out what to do next. So you'd be wandering around the house and all of a sudden just around the door is some creature just staring at me just for a brief moment. Didn't make any noise and then just disappeared. I was like, oh, what the heck is this? And you progress the game a little further and you're going outside of the house in different chapters of the game. And every single one of those sections was completely unique in its own way.
Hmm.
There was one section where you were filling a shopping cart with like alcohol and different items from a grocery store. And it like kind of tapped into this person's struggle maybe with drinking and whatnot. And then there's another section you were in a park and you had to find a specific area in this park. It was super cool. There was a third area. I'm trying to remember what it was. It was like way unique. I can't remember, but no, I kind of do remember. It was a hospital, and you had to. It was like a maze. You had to maneuver your way through kind of mannequin type looking enemies, and you didn't know if any were real or if you had to be quiet around them. Some of them were real and would walk around.
How long was that game?
I feel like it took me quite a while to beat.
Really?
But I don't know how many hours quite a while means, but it took some time. And I don't think I saw everything. But you're basically just unlocking more and more lore and stories for like the main house. But leaving the house through like in the form of a dream type of a thing. And to complete other tasks, and you find specific items like a compass or something. And then you were able to go through a mirror looking thing into another dream world, and you would use the compass there. It was a bit confusing, didn't hold your hand much, and the more and more that you completed in that game, the more haunted the main home became. So just spending time in the main house, you would be chased by this entity thing more often. The lights would flicker and all of a sudden he was near you and you had to find a way to get away from him. And it kind of sounds dumb, but the game was pretty amazing for a horror game.
Yeah, no, it sounds cool. Yeah, I think that's a good call out. I just kind of piggybacking on your Resident Evil, I was just thinking about games I was the most scared of playing. I remember playing Resident Evil 3, which I think was probably the first one that I ever played in a significant amount of. We had it on the PlayStation, and I played it as like a 14-year-old maybe with our cousin. I remember being so scared of Nemesis. He's like a big kind of brooding guy through that. So I think very much that moment in time thing was true for that for sure. I don't play a ton of horror video games. There's I don't know, having control of the character for some reason makes them feel scarier than like a horror movie. To me, right. I do love Resident Evil though, and that's kind of the limit of the scariness I can do. Want to give a shout out to Dead Space as well. That remake especially
fantastic game.
Was really good, very pretty, very violent and gory, so be ready for that. But yeah, very cool if you like sci-fi mixed in with your horror. Yeah, I don't know that I've played a ton of other like horror games.
Did you play Alien Isolation?
I played a little bit, and that I felt like I got stuck. I couldn't figure out like where to go at one point, and that game was pretty scary as well. I almost couldn't handle the hide and seek nature of it. It was almost like Outlast, which I tried for like an hour or two. And Outlast was too scary for me. I couldn't play that one. That one's like hide and seek, but you also can't hurt the things. You just have to run. You just have to run and hide. And that's like and the Alien Isolation is pretty similar in that you can't kill it. You only have a few ways to like make it go away briefly. But yeah, those ones are maybe on the edge of being too scary for David.
I am noticing right here, Oddity has a 7.5 out of 10 on IMDb right now.
Yeah, it's supposed to be great.
Which is fantastic.
Yeah, you can see right below that on Rotten Tomatoes, it has a 95.
Yeah, like there's a lot of really good movies that don't reach a 7.5 on IMDb.
Yeah, for sure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, IMDb definitely skews kind of low. So yeah, that one I feel like I've been seeing a lot of commercials for sure. What's Longlegs got an 86 and only a 7.2.
And a 7.2. Wow, I'm excited. I didn't see it in theater out here last weekend, but I will be looking for it.
Yeah, it's supposed to be scary. Just on the board game side, I only have one. I have Final Girl, which is a pretty fun horror game where you play as the final girl kind of in these recreations of kind of horror movies. So Friday the 13th and Nightmare on Elm Street, and you move around and you're trying to find like the things that you need and save the other victims from dying, because the more that the villain kills like the other innocent bystanders, they get stronger, and you have to kill the villain before you die. It's a pretty fun game. You have to you deal with like a hand of cards that you're trying to manage, and that's the main like kind of gameplay hook, is when can I cycle this card back in. But there are some like dice rolls and stuff, and so trying to manage your health as well, because you are going to get hit from time to time. But that's a pretty fun board game. I don't have a lot of other. I don't think I have any other horror board games. I want to try Nemesis one day, which is basically the movie Alien in a board game, where like the alien, when you enter a room or make too much noise doing different actions, then the alien like might spawn in that room or a room close by. So it kind of has that like, as much as you can replicate like a jump scare in a board game kind of a idea. It's supposed to be great. It was made by Awaken Realms, I believe, who is the same company that just did Grim Coven, that big Bloodborne game. They make huge games with humongous miniatures, and Nemesis is probably their most famous one. And those ones there are painted, whereas I think they usually come unpainted. But so yeah, horror's a little harder to pull off in board games. I think there are probably some like story-based games that can be like kind of creepier with like reading stuff. But usually when I'm like, yeah, I got 3 points for doing that, it's a little less less scary than hiding in a locker from the alien in Alien Isolation. But yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think of Oddity as well, because you're kind of my horror movie filter, where you'll watch all of them and then you tell me which ones are the best and then which ones are the most scary. And then I know, okay, if Devin said this one was the most scary, it's definitely too scary for me. So which one did he say was the best but isn't quite so scary?
I'm curious what you'll think of Long Legs. It is so different than I think what you probably think it is.
Yeah, I mean, I'm picturing a movie kind of like, what's it called? I mean, Silence of the Lambs is kind of what it's been related to, and one with Hugh Jackman and what's that movie?
Prisoners.
And Prisoners. But it sounds like it's much more like vague with like weird cinematics, where like, I mean, some of the shots they're showing are really weird, like the house is upside down all of a sudden, or this person like is missing part of their head. And so I don't know if that's...
Yes, a lot of times you're just seeing a mouth.
Yeah.
It cuts off at the top of the screen.
And so if there's like a lot of that, is it like off? It's supposed to be off-putting, obviously, like kind of make you uncomfortable. But is it difficult to follow? You're like, why did they do that? And now I don't understand what's going on.
I would say a bit. I honestly could not explain to you the storyline, really.
Really?
But they use a lot of colors and things to, try to trip you up, and it kind of works.
Is there like a solid like beginning, middle, and end? Like, okay, we know who the killer is now, and now there is some conclusion, or is it like more esoteric than that?
My memory's so bad. I need to go watch it again, to be honest. Like,
that's all good.
I don't know.
Yeah, it does seem like it's going for that kind of odd characteristic, though. So, yeah, I've been thinking the same thing, that this might be like just too esoteric for me, like too kind of out there. But it's reviewed pretty well, and I think most people have kind of liked it. So, and I think you said you liked it. You just thought it was weirder than you expected, right?
Yeah, I was super entertained. It hooked me, and I ate an entire large popcorn by myself the whole time, just staring at the screen to munch the whole thing down. So
that's cool. Yeah, I want to watch it. All right. Well, that's going to do it for our episode. It was kind of a long one for not having like a ton of news or anything. And we had one computer crash halfway through, so we'll see like what's going on. It'll be interesting to edit, but
hopefully all works.
I'm sure it's fine. All right. Well, thanks so much for listening to this episode of the Super Game Brothers podcast. We couldn't do it without you. Make sure to check out patreon.com/supergamebrothers to help us keep the lights on. You can get extra perks over there and directly support the show. Make sure to join our monthly giveaway that I talked about at the top. Check out Devin on Twitch, YouTube, and TikTok. He streams weekdays, playing Spider-Man 2 at the moment, but changes all the time. He's a variety streamer, so he plays what he wants. Dang it. And yeah, check out my gaming top-down board game channel. I just passed 100 subscribers. So look at that. I don't know why people want to watch me open and unbox board games, but it's been fun so far, even though I have no idea what I'm doing over there. Just kind of random trial and error. But yeah, thanks so much for listening. We will see you next week on episode 18. And until then, have a good week. Stay safe. All the things. Bye-bye.